Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman.
I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family, and welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Please visit our website, holybatcast.com, or follow us on all of your different social media platforms, on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Just search, I can speak, for Holy BatCast. You will find us. We are also on Patreon, so if you love the show, you want to help support the show, keep us rolling, you can do that at patreon.com/holybatcast. And as always, big thank you to those of you who do it. We know you don't have to, and so it does mean the world to us that you do. We are part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so if you are looking for other shows to listen to, you can check all those out at rf4rm.com. As always, I'm your host, Andy DeGenova. Hi, and if you'd like to follow me, you can do that on Twitter or on Instagram. It's just my name, Andy DeGenova. Now, this episode, it's been about 2 weeks since our last episode, so we have a lot to catch up on. Lots of news around TV and movies with DC, stuff that's going on, and then we are going to jump back into Batman Beyond because it had been a while since we'd reviewed an episode. And joining me for all that is my bi-weekly? No, like... How do you say every other episode now? I feel like it's working out where you and Brendan are now just tagging out and taking turns. Anyway, it's the original. Before Brendan came and usurped his position, it's Jamie Drewley. Hey, Jamie.
Yes, I'm very petty. Yes, I left that review, and no, I don't want to apologize for it.
I couldn't. I was shocked it was you. You were so good at hiding your tracks.
Yeah. I'm very stealthy online.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it works out, like, you know, and Brendan is off living it up in Hawaii.
I mean, if I needed more reasons to hate him, he's in freaking Hawaii right now, and I'm staring at frost.
He's out. So, yeah. He's out spreading the kangaroo plague on the islands.
Little known fact: pineapple actually counters that plague, so it works out.
Oh well, that's great news. So, yeah, he is out living it up in Hawaii, doing fun things like going to the grocery store and taking pictures with Eggo waffles.
He is, I mean, for all the things you could do in Hawaii, the things I've seen him post, it's like, really? This is what you want to do with your time in
He's
paradise?
Gone to the mall. Okay. He's gone to Hot Topic. He's gone to the grocery store. I'm like, dude, you could have just gone to Nebraska.
It would have been a lot cheaper.
Why go to Hawaii if you're just going to go take pictures with Eggo waffles? Which I guess is, like, hard to find in Australia, apparently. Like,
I mean, even if you had the Eggo waffles shipped to Australia, I promise you it's cheaper than Hawaii. He had this thing, he's talking about a certain amount of cash him and his wife were each taking with them. I'm like, that won't even get you out of the airport in Hawaii, pal.
Yeah, he's crazy. Yeah, I was giving him crap about it. I was like, people would be like, "Hey, Brendan, how was Hawaii?" And he'll be like, "Oh, it was great, mate. I went to the mall and I went to the grocery store and I ate spaghetti in my hotel." And people would be like, "Well, then how was Hawaii?" And he's like, "I don't know."
I did see one from him this morning that he had macadamia nut pancakes with the coconut syrup. That is
good.
To die for.
That's a step in the right
incredible.
Direction.
Yeah. That coconut syrup they put on pancakes over there, I know it's laced with cocaine, and I do not care because it's that good.
It's cocaine nut syrup.
Something.
Or syrup.
Anyway. I remember when we left, and it was 30 years ago when I was there. I remember when we left.
When you were only 30.
When
you were only 30.
Yeah, exactly. I remember my dad hitting up the little convenience store that was like around the corner from where our hotel was at, trying to find that coconut syrup to take some home with him because he loved it so much. So it's amazing.
Nice. Well, Brendan, we hope you're having a Hawaiian vacation and having a great time. But in the meantime, some of us got to keep the podcast rolling, and that's us. And I do apologize, as always, for the delay because I have been traveling like crazy, and I'm about to travel again. So you're getting this episode. When will the next one be? I don't know. As soon as I can get back home, I guess. So yeah, it might be another 2-week gap. I just don't know. I'm gonna do my best, but there's only so much I can do when I'm running around as well.
The holidays are insane anyway, so
That is true. So, but the good news is when I travel, lots of stuff happens.
This is the case.
And so we have no shortage of things to talk about, which is always fun and exciting. So the first thing I want to talk about is the most recent thing, but it's also what has been inhabiting my dreams ever since we've seen it. And that is, we've finally seen Brenton Thwaites as Nightwing.
I'm a little disappointed, and it's not because I don't think the suit looks great, because it does, but I would have liked to have seen that in the episode instead of before. I mean, I get it. I'm a particular kind of fan. I like to have some things in reserve for surprise or whatever, but I mean, aesthetically speaking, it looks fantastic. I love it. I just would have rather seen it in the episode than in a picture a week before the episode even comes out.
That is perfectly valid. I totally get it. But yeah, so I mean, what was crazy was that there were like photos of just the costume on like a mannequin. There was some sort of trade show or something going on where it was on display. So that was the first photos we saw. And then we got like a little trailer, like a little 10-second bit of footage from the season finale of Titan season 2 of him in the suit, and then we got some high-res photos. And so now it's officially out there. There's no hiding it. And I get your point. I don't disagree with it. It would have been nice to just see that in the episode, but hey, we got it now, and he looks amazing. He looks as good as I hoped he would. So I can't wait. It's funny because going into season 2, people are like, oh, how long do you think we'll have to wait for Nightwing? And in the back of my head, I was like, it feels like a season finale thing, but I hope that's not the case. And sure enough, it was season finale, Nightwing.
Yeah, there were some choices made as far as timing and pacing this season that I'm not sure I appreciate, but I mean, what are you going to do? We're spoiled fans. We want things the way we want them, and F everybody who doesn't give them to us the way we want them. I mean, I'm no different than anybody else in that respect. Are you current on the show?
No, I'm one episode behind. I tried to download it for my flight yesterday, and I failed. It would not download in Singapore. So fun fact, it didn't download in Singapore. So I have to try and get the new episode to work here now that I'm back in Beijing before I travel again.
See, I enjoyed it. I liked it. It was good.
So yeah, I'm one behind, but I'm mostly up to date.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I said that because discussions leading the last couple of weeks, I was not crazy about the last couple of episodes. So,
well, I look forward to catching up on it, but I really look forward to seeing Nightwing in action. Just the little snippet that we see in that little tease is awesome. He looks perfect. I mean, I think that this show has nailed the looks of all the characters for the most part. You know, I'd still like to see Raven get her cloak, and Starfire get her something a little more costumey. But all the ones who get
Starfire is going to be the trickiest of the bunch because her costume is.
It cannot be a direct one-to-one translation. But here's the crazy thing: is she had a costume last year because we saw spy pics of it. And I guess that was part of what they cut out of the finale last year. And so we're still waiting for an official costume. And I liked what I saw, honestly. Like last year when those spy pics came out and it was her in costume, I liked it. It looked good. It still looked like Starfire. But yeah, I wonder if they're just going to keep that and use that when the time is right, or if they're going to redesign it. I don't know. But all the heroes that have been in costume all look great. So obviously Robin, Hawk, Dove, Aqualad, Wonder Girl, they've all looked amazing. And so, yeah, I think once Raven and Starfire get their legit duds, even like Beast Boy, like he hasn't had an official costume, but that jacket sort of is the costume. And so for me, that doesn't bother me. Once they're all good to go. But anyway, the point is the costume designer for Titans, when they get to do the superhero costumes, has been doing amazing work. And for Nightwing, I am not disappointed.
Yeah, there's certainly no mistaking it. You're not going to look at that and think, what is that? And I like it. I like what I saw.
He looks awesome.
And let me just take a moment to say, the casting on that show, I don't know how they find these impossibly good-looking people to do it, but I ain't even mad. You know what I'm saying? It's just, and I'm talking both sides. I mean, I'm obviously a straight male, but I can certainly acknowledge when I see a man that I know is good-looking, like Chris Hemsworth. I'd switch teams for Chris Hemsworth. I mean, let's be realistic here. But the people on this show, everyone across the board, I just look at them and go, very well done. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I 100% agree. Absolutely. Anyway, apparently the costume designer is Laura Jean Shannon, so I at least want to give credit where credit is due. So, well done, Laura Jean. You nailed it.
She does all of them, or she's the one that just did that one?
It just says she designed the Nightwing suit, but I'm assuming she did the rest. I mean,
either way, congratulations are in order. I just was curious.
Yeah. So, no, it looks awesome. And, yeah, people started tweeting me and being like, oh, my God, Andy. And I'm like, yes, it's so good. And then, yeah, the high-res photos we've got of him in it are even better. And this came with the news that Titan Season 3 has been approved? Greenlit? It's moving ahead. And so the Titan Season 3 logo is Nightwing's colors. It's the black and the blue.
Well, I mean, now the question beckons, are we going to get Daredevil? Is the costume going to be through the majority of the episode, or is it going to be he shows up in the last 5 minutes wearing it and we have to wait till season 3 to really have it applied anywhere?
I think it'll be at the end of the episode for the final confrontation, but I'm less worried about it because in the pilot of Titans, we got more costume superheroes than we got in 3 seasons of Daredevil. So,
I mean, I still haven't watched Daredevil season 3. Shame on me, I know. But anyway, yeah, I'm not. I'm so used to that sort of thing happening anymore that it doesn't bother me nearly as much as it used to. But I suspect as soon as he shows up, there's going to be some kind of a situation. I am assuming, I don't know, I'm assuming some kind of a situation where the team has to bond together to face off against Deathstroke, and either as it progresses or as soon as they form up or whatever, he's going to show up in that costume. It's just a matter of when that happens in the episode.
Yeah. Again, I expect it to be a reveal for the end, but again, we've waited this long. I'm not that upset about it. Because we've gotten so much other great superhero action all season long. I'm not complaining.
I like that show.
Me too. So, Nightwing is finally here, and he looks amazing. Season 3 is coming, which means we'll just get even more Nightwing. So, I can't wait. So, in the meantime, there's always more original content coming to DC Universe, and this is interesting. So, one of the shows that's coming up for DC Universe is Stargirl. And Stargirl is going to be on DC Universe, but they will also be airing on the CW. Have you heard this?
Yes. It's so business decision wise, I think I understand it. But at the same time, it's petty as hell. I'm paying for DC Universe. What are you giving me that somebody who gets CW for free doesn't get,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
petty,
so
very petty.
interesting.
I know. I'm not at all dissatisfied with the cost or programming or availability of anything on DC Universe as a whole. It's just it seems strange to me. Pick one or the other. Again, I understand the business sense of it, because basically what it boils down to, and somebody online, I think it was Joe Forno said it, and I fully agree that it's not going to be the mature show that Titans and Doom Patrol and the Swamp Thing, these other ones have been. It'll be more friendly to the CW network, so it makes sense to kind of cross those audiences together to draw one to the other. That's the business sense that just triggers in my mind and makes sense to me. But
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to think of it other than just trying to get the broadest audience possible. And if there's a hole in the schedule on the CW, it's a show that they're already producing. And if it helps to split the costs, maybe that could be good. Because, we still don't know for sure why Swamp Thing got canceled, but cost seems like one of the likely candidates. So if splitting the cost helps with Stargirl, great. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's an interesting strategy, because you're right. Like, if we're paying for DC Universe, and a big reason we do pay for that is to get these exclusives, to watch Titans, to watch Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing and Harley Quinn, which starts next week. To get Stargirl, like, oh, you don't need DC Universe for it. Maybe it's a test. Maybe they'll see, maybe they'll see if it affects anything. I don't know. I don't have strong feelings about it one way or the other. It's just an interesting strategy, and I'd like to know what they were thinking.
Why don't you use that after this week's Why Not Futurama? Not like you don't use that daily anyway. But.
I use it all the time. But yeah, so interesting stuff. We'll see. We don't know for sure when it comes out, but the thought is that sometime in the spring is when they expect.
Close to right. I mean, do we know the episode count on Harley yet?
No.
It must be a fairly long one, because they're overlapping it with the day the Titans season finale happens. So they must not be short on an episode count, and they must have something right on Harley's heels to release. So.
Yeah. Well, and I also feel like because with Young Justice, that was going concurrently with what? Was it Doom Patrol?
Yes.
Because like with the animated series, it feels like they're okay with overlapping that with stuff, as opposed to the live action ones. They just want one of those going at a time. Because I just think that the live action stuff is just a bigger draw. So.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So anyway, we'll see. Stargirl.
Do we know what Doom Patrol season 2 starts? I mean, obviously we know it's greenlit.
But even that is going to be double duty. It's going to be on DC Universe and on HBO Max.
I hold the exact same thoughts on that I hold about CW. The only difference is you have to pay for HBO Max and you have to pay for DC Universe. You can't get one or the other for free.
Right. Wow. Interesting. Speaking of, this was kind of a nice surprise for DC Universe. They did like the auto renew, but they did it for like pretty cheap, where it came to $4.99 a month. Did you get? I assume you got this. You didn't get this. I got the email that was like, "Hey, your year is about up. We're going to go ahead and auto renew it, unless you have whatever. You have 2 weeks. If you don't want it renewed, you can cancel it now. But if you do nothing, we're going to auto renew it with the same form of payment. But we're going to charge you. I think it was $59.99 for the next 12 months, which is $4.99 a month. So I was like, great, auto renew.
Well, you did the same thing I did, right? You signed up for the year and then got the 3 extra months.
Yes.
Okay, so I should have had mine by now, and I haven't. So maybe they just don't want me to pay anymore. I don't know.
You've been asked politely to leave the club.
I use DC Universe enough. If it's $10 a month, I don't give a shit at this point. But
I know. Shoot, the $4.99 a month is worth it for me, just to use the DC Universe Yule log for the next month.
Oh God, I got to remember to do that this year. Thank you.
It's my favorite thing they've ever done. It's the best. I'm easy to please. I completely
missed out on that last year, so thank you for that reminder. I am definitely going to be using that this year.
Yeah, it's wonderful. But anyway, so no, it was a nice surprise to hear like the discounted price. Like, that's still a great deal to me, totally worth it. So I was very happy with that. Now, Harley Quinn, we mentioned, is starting next week, but apparently there was a new trailer. I didn't even have time to watch it because I've been traveling. So I can't even speak to that because I'm a terrible podcast host and you guys shouldn't listen to me. So
are you talking about the one that was released like a week or two ago? Or
yeah.
Is there?
There was one. No, there was one like, it was about a week ago, I think, but I didn't get a chance to watch it.
I finally did watch it, and I gotta be honest. I'm not sure this show's being made for me, but I'll watch it. I'll watch the whole thing unless it like really train wrecks for me. I'll watch the entire thing. But
I mean,
I'm not looking at that trailer. Plenty of people are excited what they see about that trailer. You know, bless your hearts. I hope it works out great for you. It feels like the Harley that I can't stand to read in the comics, which is the current, mostly the Amanda Conner, Jimmy Palmiotti run, and that's not my thing at all. It's not to my taste in the least, and that's exactly what this feels like it is. So for people who love that comic run, this is probably paradise for you. For me, it's nails on a chalkboard. But again, I'll give it its fair chance, and I'll watch it, and we'll see what happens from there.
Yeah, the initial reactions are out there, and it sounds to me like it is very much that. I'd be shocked if it was for you, because the initial reactions and reviews I've seen, I've only pretty much seen the Twitter reactions. I haven't read any reviews. It sounds like, yes, it's incredibly crass, incredibly R-rated, incredibly over the top, incredibly comedic. Like, that's what they're doing. So I'm going in with eyes wide open. I'm going to enjoy it on those terms, but it does sound like your concerns are accurate.
I mean, I'm going to ride the wave with it anyway, just because Diedrich Bader as Batman is enough to get me in. So,
yeah. So anyway, I'm bad because I didn't watch the trailer, but I will still look forward to the show when it premieres next week, which is great. Speaking of Harley Quinn, of course, Birds of Prey is on its way in February. And this was interesting as I was just looking for things to talk about. I hadn't seen this. So this was a new synopsis of Birds of Prey that came out. There have been other photos and stuff like that, but those all looked essentially like variations of what we've already seen, all the same looks for the characters and everything. But this is the new synopsis that came for Birds of Prey. It says, you ever hear the one about the cop, the songbird, the psycho, and the mafia princess? Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn is a twisted tale told by Harley herself, as only Harley can tell it. When Gotham's most nefariously narcissistic villain, Roman Sionis, and his zealous right-hand Zaz put a target on a young girl named Cass, the city is turned upside down looking for her. Harley, Huntress, Black Canary, and Renee Montoya's paths collide, and the unlikely foursome have no choice but to team up to take Roman down. Thoughts, feelings, reaction?
I don't know that I hear anything in there that I'm surprised by, other than maybe the Harley narrating, but I guess that's in the trailer, so I don't know why that would be any surprise, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly confirming things that we have heard or that we have suspected up until now, which is, yes, that, like, it sounds like Harley will be breaking the fourth wall. She will be talking directly to us. She'll be narrating it. I don't have an issue with that. I think that can be really fun with the right character. So that's a confirmation. We also had heard that Cass might be the MacGuffin. Everyone's after Cass for one reason or the other. It sounds like that is accurate as well. So, yeah, there's no huge surprises here, but it was just an interesting new description of what we're going to see come February.
I'm assuming you at some point or another have seen the theories about Ali Wong in this movie?
No, I don't think so. That doesn't sound familiar.
All right, fast forward for like 60 seconds if you don't want any potential spoilers, because obviously this isn't confirmed. This is just fan theory. But anyway, we know Ali Wong's in the movie because her name's in the credits. I don't know that we've seen a single photo anywhere. If they have, they've kept it pretty well under wraps on social media because I haven't seen it. But you know who Cass's mother is, yes?
I mean,
Sheba?
Oh, yeah, that sounds right. Thank you. Obviously, I needed the reminder, so my Cass knowledge is not super deep. But now that you say that, I'm like, oh, yeah, duh, that's right. But yes, good. Go ahead.
That's a prevailing fan theory that I've seen out there, is that Ali Wong is playing Sheba.
Ah, interesting.
Which I have absolutely no problem with. In fact, I'd be very curious to see it because I kind of like Ali Wong. But anyway.
Interesting. So, something to look forward to. Very interesting. Before we look forward, I do want to look back for a second.
Okay.
And I know you don't like to talk about it, but it's worth mentioning.
Oh, God. I need a drink.
Sorry. It's worth mentioning because a few days ago, a week ago, I don't even know what day it is anymore. That's how my life is. I don't know what day it is.
Well, I mean,
where
you're
I
through
am.
7 time zones every day, so I mean, it's like time travel at this point.
I don't know what time zone I'm in. I don't know what time it is. Don't know what day it is. I don't even know my name. But I know I like to record about Batman, so here we are. But a week or so ago was the 2-year anniversary of the release of the universally acclaimed and beloved Justice League film.
You hear that off in the distance? That's the collective groan of 75% or more of our listeners.
Well, I mean, it was a movie that everyone liked, which is great. And we live in a timeline where it was a huge success. Everybody loves it. And, DC Films has never been going better. But in another timeline, people didn't like it so much. And so, about a week ago on the 2-year anniversary, the Release the Snyder Cut movement organized to really kind of push again. And it wasn't just a fan thing, which is why I think it's worth noting, is because it's not like, a bunch of fans got together and decided they were going to try again. No, like everyone got behind it on this one day. And that includes most of the cast and crew of the film itself. So it was kind of cool to see everybody get together and fight for Zack Snyder's version of the film. And so that included, it started kind of small with some like ancillary people, but Ray Fisher, he put it out there. Jason Momoa put it out there, and then Gal Gadot put it out there, and then Ben Affleck put it out there, and to the point where Zack Snyder, who doesn't come to Twitter anymore, came to Twitter just to retweet. I think it was at least Gal and Ben's tweets. There might have been another one or two in there. I can't be sure. So it even pulled Zack back to Twitter, and then even folks from Marvel and Kevin Smith, Dave Bautista, like a lot of very high profile people on November 17th all put it out there to release the Snyder Cut. And I know, again, it's kind of a divisive issue. It ends up causing disagreements, and even that day, but that day to me felt like a lot of positivity. It felt like doing it the right way. I think that oftentimes fans have done it the wrong way, which is why I've sort of not engaged, because I think that there's been a lot of things that fans have done that is kind of icky in order to just push the Snyder Cut. But this felt like doing it the right way, and I liked seeing the traction, and I liked seeing just everyone kind of get on the same page that day. And I don't know, it was very fun to witness on that day for me. I think you kind of didn't really pay attention, right?
I honestly muted that hashtag over a month ago, because it's not because I don't want to see it. I do want to see it, but I've just had enough. I literally do not care anymore. For all you people who have gone about it the right way and haven't been a toxic asshole about it, by God, I hope you get this thing. And I hope it's everything you ever dreamed it would be, and I hope it's amazing and you deserve it. Me, I don't care anymore. I'm done with it. I'm so over it. I've moved on. If it gets released on HBO Max or whatever, I'll happily watch it, and I'll talk about my feelings of it. And I too hope it is great for me. But at this point, I just don't care. I don't. I'm so over it. So over it.
Understood. And I totally get that. I mean, I do feel like the amount of things that we have seen, the amount of things that we have heard, of course I want to see it. Of course I do. I mean, but is it going to change anything? No, of course it's not. And I think that's something I think people need to be realistic about, is if we get to see it, which I do think that maybe eventually we will. I do. Whether it be on HBO Max or whatever. And I hope we do. Someone asked Brendan and I, what would you do if you were running DC Films? And we both were like, just release a Snyder Cut. That'd be day one. Just get it out there. Put it out there. Don't spend a penny. Release whatever's done. But just put it out there. Because selfishly, I want to see it, but also I would love for us to be able to just move forward. I would love for everybody who's been obsessing about this at the expense of literally everything else, like, to move on with their lives as well. But like, I want to see it, but it's not going to change the future of where the DC movies are going. They're already,
and
they
honestly,
already have their path. It's not like that's going to come out and it's going to be critically acclaimed and all of a sudden they're going to bring him back. And no, that's not going to happen. That's just not going to happen.
That path of that universe is dead. No matter what happens with this particular cut of the film, it's dead, it's gone, it's not coming back. Short of somebody getting in on a cosmic treadmill and going back and altering some things, it's never going to happen the way that you wanted it to happen. I mean, it's never going to happen the way Zack Snyder wanted it to happen, because he was originally supposed to do it in 2 parts, and he got cut down to 1, and then they, had what they had released with Joss Whedon and what have you. But since you opened the door, I'm going to step through it. Here's the reason that I don't like this movement, or it's not the movement. Let me choose my words better here. Here's the reason I don't like the approach that so many that claim to be a part of this movement. I don't care for the way that they're doing it. I am a person that politically and legally and everything else am always thinking about the precedent that what this particular thing is going to set. I don't like the precedent that this sets if this cut actually gets released, because now everybody's empowered and entitled to think that they're going to be able to do this with so many other things. The most recent example I can think of is the outcry that people had about the appearance of Sonic in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and they spent another $20 or $30 million to go back and redo that character to appease these fans, and now nobody cares about the trailer that just got released for it. I mean, these are precedents that I don't like with this entitlement. Is when people actually do foster change coming out of what they're doing, and they start doing it for things that they really don't even care about, and trying to make studios and creators and all these other things do it the way that they want to do it. I don't know that I have any admiration or anything for somebody that goes about things that way. My personal take it or leave it. This is my 2 cents. Give me my change, and we'll leave it at that. If you don't like something, great. I've said for years, like what you like, dislike what you dislike, never apologize for either. If you don't like something, just move on. Just go. But I understand the passion that these fans have for this kind of the movie. I love Zack Snyder as much or more than anyone. I've been on the Zack Snyder bandwagon way before he ever got involved with a DC film. I understand people. I truly do. But I also think there's a point where you have to cut bait and move on. And I think that this particular movie or movement, I think that should have happened a long time ago. And I'm sorry if you're offended by this or if you're angry with me, whatever. I'm speaking my feelings on it. I think this should have died way back. I really do. Sorry.
It's okay. I mean, and that's what we have been focused on, the future. Like, that's what we have been doing. Whether we, the things that have come since and the things that are coming next, like, that's where our focus is. So I understand where you're coming from. I am in somewhat of an agreement with you. I just, at this point, again, like, I think that there was such an outpouring last week that I'm like, come on, guys, just release it. However it is easiest for you, release it, and then let's get on with it. But
right.
I'll tell you what I'm more interested in seeing. I'm more interested in seeing Birds of Prey. I'm more interested in seeing Wonder Woman 1984. I'm more interested in seeing what comes next.
The Batman, or the next announcement.
The Batman. Thank you.
I mean, that's really where I'm at. I truly hope the Snyder Cut does get released, but I truly hope this never happens again.
Right.
I mean, that's really the best way I can sum it up.
So, anyway, I wanted to mention it again. I thought it was really cool. I was into it. I'd like to see it come out. Again, I haven't been into a lot of the other things that have happened around this, but last week I thought it was really neat, and I do hope that the cut gets out there one way or the other. And it is, and I mean, I think we can all agree, just looking back at what happened with Justice League, it's just depressing. It's just such a shame, and it's really sad. And so I love to see Ben throw his weight behind it. I love to see Gal do it. I love that they did that. The only ones that didn't do it were Ezra Miller, because Ezra is not on social media. So he just didn't have a way to do it. It's not like, and then Henry Cavill didn't do it. So a lot of fans were getting pissed at Henry Cavill, but listen, he's not obligated to do anything, right? He's out there promoting The Witcher. He's got his new project. So I feel like we can certainly celebrate the ones who are out there fighting for it, but we should not, I think, turn on the ones who didn't. They have their own lives. But what was interesting is because Henry Cavill is out there promoting The Witcher, of course, someone's going to ask him about Superman, because of course they are. And so he did address it in a very interesting way, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this. As he says, I'm not just going to sit quietly in the dark as all this stuff is going on. I've not given up the role. There's a lot I have to give for Superman yet, a lot of storytelling to do, a lot of real true depths to the honesty of the character I want to get into. I want to reflect the comic books. That's important to me. There's a lot of justice to be done for Superman. The status is you'll see. And it's not in this article, but he also said something about
him saying he would be an ape on the ground for Matt Reeves. Because that's what this sounds an awful lot like to me.
Yeah. So there was another quote that is not in this article, but he also said something about oh, the cape is in my closet, something like that, where I haven't given up the cape, it's in my closet. But it's this article that I pulled up only pulled a snippet. But yes, please go on with what you were saying, because I think that we're on the same page here.
All I'm trying to say, and I have not seen a lot of stuff. I've really kind of distanced myself from social media in about the last 2 weeks or so. But I'm aware of this. I know of it. I didn't read the whole article or interview or anything else. This entire thing feels to me like Henry's just saying, look, I'm happy to do this if they want me back. But here's the part. He doesn't control whether or not he comes back. And you could make the arguments for negotiations and contracts and this and that and the other thing. But the fact of the matter is, a filmmaker and or Warner Brothers has to say, Henry, please, come put on the cape, come do this for us. It's not up to him. He's not in control of the storytelling. He's not in control of the filmmaking. If J.J. Abrams takes over Star Wars, Superman, like so many have speculated that he would want to or what have you, if he calls Henry up and does it, I'm sure Henry will be happy to come and work that out. I'm sure of it. But JJ has to want him to do it. And Warner Brothers has to want him to do it. You see what I'm saying here? This is Henry saying to the fans, look, I'm here. I got more to do. I'd be happy to do it. They ain't called me. That's what I got out of this. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's where my translation is.
No, I think you're spot on there. Because I did see, some people shared it with us and were like, hey, what do you think? What do you think? Henry says he's not done. And I'm like, read between the lines. Henry says he doesn't want to be done. That's what he's saying. But he wants to be Superman as long as they want him to be Superman. But it sounds like right now, nothing's happening. So that's why the cape is in his closet.
I really think where I would suggest to people, and I'm not your dad, I'm not anything, this is how I'm approaching it. You can do with this advice what you will. I would say prepare yourselves for the worst. Assume Henry's done. Assume we're not getting any more with him. It's terrible. It sucks. I know. I'd love to have him back too. But I figure he's done. I figured he's done for months, if not longer. I really have felt that. If he's not and he comes back, fantastic. I love surprises, and I love great surprises, and that would be a great surprise. But at this point, I'm not counting on it at all, and this very much feels like Ben playing damage control when he was stepping out as Batman and didn't want anybody to know until Justice League was already out. Mm-hmm. This feels to me like when Ben was asked if he was going to be in the Matt Reeves Batman movie, and he said, are you kidding me? I'd be an ape on the ground for Matt Reeves. That wasn't him confirming he was going to be in the Batman movie. That wasn't anything but him saying Matt Reeves was a good filmmaker that he would like to work with, but Ben was stepping around these things very carefully because he didn't want people to know he wasn't Batman anymore until after Justice League was released. That decision was made long before that point. Ben was being diplomatic about it. And I think Henry is kind of being diplomatic about this, although I don't think it's quite as definitive for him at this point as it was with Ben. But my approach is I'm going to treat it like Henry is done, tragic though it may be. And again, if he comes back and I wind up being wrong about that, that's a tremendous surprise that I can embrace, and it keeps me from being terribly disappointed. So again, my approach, treat it like he's done. If he's not, great.
No, I agree. I think that it seems like Henry is done, but until a new Superman movie is in play and the role is recast, yeah, for now, technically, Henry is Superman.
Exactly. And it's unfair to everybody. Ray Fisher and, I mean, pretty much everybody except for Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa have the crap end of the stick on this deal. But that was more because their stuff was already in motion before the backlash of Justice League really had a chance to take its toll against it.
Yeah.
In fact, Wonder Woman was before Justice League. So, I mean, that's obviously. But my point is they achieved their success, and it's because things were already in motion for it before the tidal wave that nearly wiped out the DC universe on film. It just that whole Justice League thing, it changed everything. It changed everything that came after.
Indeed. So anyway,
I
think
still like that movie, and I don't care. I like it.
I know.
Is it great? No, but I like it.
I'm with you. So yeah, I think that's all. Henry would love to come back. That's all he's saying. He's not saying he is playing Superman again. So hopefully some project will come in and he will do it. I do think that I wish he would have done that cameo in Shazam.
I'd feel a lot more confident about it if he did.
Yeah.
If he was in Shazam, I'd be like, yeah, I buy it. I'm with you. But let's roll with this. But since it wasn't, I don't know. That doesn't bode very well, in my opinion.
Well, and rumor was that it wasn't him was because he was trying to play hardball for a new contract.
Yeah, I know. And
they were like, no, dude. So that doesn't reflect great on him. So
I mean, there's two sides to every negotiation story. So I mean, that's.
Oh, I know, I get it, but sometimes you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
I wish Henry nothing but the best, DC or not DC. I like the guy. Yeah. I think he's a class act, and I'd love to have him back. I'm just not counting on it.
Sure. Well, fortunately, the DC movies are not going anywhere because this fall, Joker made $1 gazillion. Actually, not a gazillion. It made $1 billion. And it's still making money.
Still going.
Still making money.
I believe I read something yesterday. Again, my social media habits are severely reduced right now, but I believe I read something yesterday that this Thanksgiving weekend, they're anticipating that it's going to surpass BVS's domestic gross.
That is, I think you and I saw the same thing.
Wow.
It already far surpassed the worldwide gross of Batman versus Superman, and yes, it is poised over Thanksgiving weekend to pass the domestic.
Wow. I mean, I know I predicted this all happening before Joker got released, but I'm still shocked.
Oh, of course you did.
Me, who thought the movie was going to get about $200 million total global gross.
So yeah, if this
crazy. Teaches us one thing, it's always this. When Andy is traveling, things happen, news-wise. When I make a box office prediction, Wonder Woman aside, it's absolute bullshit. Every time.
Also, when I take a stand on something, the opposite will happen. So So I should have said, Nightwing definitely won't show up until the finale of Titans, and that way we would have gotten him 5 episodes ago.
That's true enough. Yeah.
That was my fault, because I never said it out loud. I thought it, but I didn't say it out loud.
You need the actual vocalization for the juju to work. Yeah,
it only works if I say it on the record, so I can look stupid later. That's the only way it works. So Joker made $1 billion, which is crazy. So it's the only R-rated movie to ever make $1 billion. And yeah, it's grossed. It's surpassed the grosses of a zillion other movies. It doesn't even matter. You can look it up. But of course, so now the question comes around, like, will they do another one? And it was very fun last week to watch this happen. So the Hollywood Reporter ran a story that after the huge opening weekend of Joker, Todd Phillips had a meeting with the Warner Brothers executives and made a deal to do a sequel, and also pitched the idea to do some additional origin stories for other DC villains.
And depending on whose report you read, he actually asked for the rights to all of them.
Interesting. And so apparently, as that ended, the plan was, yes, he will do Joker 2, and he will also do 1 or 2 other DC villain origin movies. That was the report that came out. And I was like, oh, I've done it again, because on the last episode with Brendan, someone asked about Joker 2, and I said, hey, it's already done, it made all this money, and we haven't heard a peep, so maybe they're actually not going to do it. Maybe they'll actually let it be. And of course, then this comes out, and I was like, oh, good, I look stupid. So that was the story. And then, like a few hours later, Variety. So this is like the Hollywood Reporter versus Variety. So it's not even like, these are like the big boys fighting. Variety comes out, and they essentially debunk this report and say, no, that's all false. There is no Joker 2 in development. There are no other DC origin movies happening. This meeting never happened. And so now we don't know what to believe. So Jamie, what do you believe?
Well, I believe I saw Todd Phillips come out and say, no, this never happened.
Oh.
I can't even, I didn't even know this was going on until you sent me a message and asked me to be on this week's episode. And you're like, well, now we can talk about the Joker sequel. I'm like, Joker sequel? He was like, yeah, it's all over the place. So I went and started looking, and at some point that day, I swear to you, and I don't remember if it was Joe Blow's report or whose it was, I read quoted Phillips, and Phillips essentially said, and this is not verbatim, this is paraphrase, no, this never happened. I even seem to remember him saying, I wish I would have been smart enough to have done that, but no, it didn't.
Okay, so I'm finding it. Here we go. Number one, it wasn't Variety who debunked Hollywood Reporter, it was Deadline. So my apologies. Save your emails. So Deadline was the one that debunked it. And so here, IndieWire spoke to Todd Phillips, and here's what he said. I can honestly say to you there was no meeting that ever happened on October 7th where I marched in. First of all, if you know me in my career, that's not my style. I made a huge comedy at Warner Brothers, The Hangover, and I didn't suddenly become a comedy factory producer like, oh, let's churn out more movies. Bradley Cooper and I have a production company at Warner's. I've been at Warner's for 15 to 16 years. We have 2 things in development at all times, not 40 things like some people. I'm not the kind of guy who goes marching in saying, I want these 40 titles. I just don't have the energy. As to whether or not a Joker sequel is happening, he says, well, a movie doesn't make $1 billion and they don't talk about a sequel. Joaquin and I have publicly said we've been talking about a sequel since week 2 of shooting, since it's a fun thing to talk about. But the Hollywood Reporter article was referring to other things than that were just untrue. I don't know how it gets started, if it's some assistant trying to gain street cred with a writer. Here's the real truth about a sequel. While Joaquin and I have talked about it, and while touring the world with Warner Brothers, going to Toronto and Venice and other places, of course, we're sitting at dinner and they're saying, so have you thought about blank? But talking about contracts, there's not a contract for us to write a sequel. We've never approached Joaquin to be in a sequel. Will that happen? Again, I think the article is anticipatory at best.
I mean,
so he's not saying never.
Yeah.
He's not saying never, but he's saying what was in that article was not true, and we have no contract yet. Wait and see.
And I see no reason in the world why at this point he should have to play coy about that. There's no reason they would need to keep a sequel development under wraps for this movie at this point, 6 weeks into its run, or 7, 8, whatever the hell it is at this point. I don't even know. There's just no reason for it. So I tend to believe every word that came out of his mouth there.
Well, yeah. And again, of course, Warner Brothers would want a sequel. Of course they would. As he said, you don't make $1 billion and then not talk about a sequel. Of course. That's just common sense. But it sounds like there is a ways to go before that is the case. And as we've discussed in the past, like, I don't need a sequel. Of course, I'll still go see a sequel, but I don't feel the need for it. I don't have this burning desire for one. I'm fine if they never do one, but if they do one, hopefully they have a great idea. And of course, I'll still give them money for it, but I just am not excited about it, especially because I didn't love the first one. So for me, it's like, I don't really care. But from a business perspective, I completely understand why they would do a sequel. You know, the budget was
be much more prone to be excited about the idea of doing this with another character than a sequel to this one.
Exactly. I would be much more interested in seeing them take a similar approach with a different character. That is far more interesting to me. And I've seen a lot of people's wish lists when this report came out. My wish list was Victor Fries. Do you have, like, who would be the top of your list if they were to take this approach with another character?
Honestly, I think and this will seem crazy to some people. I mean, as much as I love Ra's al Ghul, and I think he's my favorite Batvillain and all that other stuff, I think the story that's been brewing around in my head for the last week or so in thinking about this, the one that I'd want to see above all, Bane.
I could see that, actually. Yeah.
I'm not like a true panel for panel adaptation of Bane's origin, but something chronicling him as a kid being in that prison and working himself up to where he's at and, eventually getting out and coming after Batman. I mean, I think in Bane's case, you'd almost have to have Batman there. But of course, I said that with Joker too. So
yeah, right.
But yeah, that's where I'd lean. I think that story would be fascinating to take a similar approach to this as far as aesthetics and whatnot.
No, I could see that. That's cool.
And Bane's origin certainly leans toward that darker edge like that too. So I mean, it's tailor-made as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'd watch the hell out of a Freeze one too, for that matter.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. For me, I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be shocked if we got the sequel, because I just from a business perspective, like put creativity and artistic merit out the window. But like, you made a $55 million movie that made $1 billion, give them $80 million, make a $500 million. You're still happy as pigs and shit. Like,
right. Well, I absolutely do not need, nor do I want a sequel to Joker, but I absolutely will support it and go see it if it happens. Cause I said I didn't need this one and I wound up loving it. So, hey, you never know till you watch the movie. I mean, it's like they say in football games when a 0-10 team beats a 10-0 team. They're like, that's why they play the game, because you don't know until it happens. So same concept here. I didn't know I wanted this Joker movie until after I walked out of the theater watching it for the first time. So if it happens, fine. I just don't really want it.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how it proceeds. But again, I'm sure the conversations are happening just because money talks. But it was fun to watch that little conflicting reports play out and just being like, well, who knows?
There was something else that I read in the process of checking that stuff out after you pointed it out to me that, God, what did it... I can't remember the numbers now. I can't remember what it said, but basically what it thumbed down to was Phillips negotiated the points on the back end of his contract for the film, and they said he's probably going to clear well over $10 million for this movie.
Wow. Smart. Good for him.
That's pretty solid for a damn director. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, totally. Yeah. So, more as it develops. But do you know what movie we are getting, Jamie? Speaking of villain origin movies, we are getting one. It's just not Joker 2 or Victor Fries. We finally get an official announcement for Black Adam.
Oh, yes.
So 2021.
Listen, Black Adam's not a villain. There's your problem. Black Adam's not a villain. Black Adam is the MVP of DC heroes.
No, he's a villain. Sorry.
No, he's the Punisher with magic, who just happens to rule over a particular nation in the process.
Okay, Sure, Jan. So they made it official. We knew this movie had been coming for a while, and so sure enough, they let The Rock make the announcement himself. And I just see that he has 162 million followers on Twitter. So.
Yeah, he owns Twitter. Him and Lady Gaga
Yeah.
own Twitter.
Which is why they let him make the announcement instead of Warner Brothers doing it themselves. He probably has 5 times more followers than Warner Brothers.
Oh, at bare ass minimum. Yeah.
So they let him make the announcement. So 2021 is going to be a hell of a year so I need to stay alive, which is important because we're getting the Batman, obviously. We're getting the Suicide Squad, and now we are also getting Black Adam just in time for Christmas. So
since he mentioned the Suicide Squad, I'm going to throw it out there because I'm sure somebody's going to ask me at some point. Hell no, I'm not happy about the interview with Margot Robbie where she said how funny that movie was going to be. But anyway, carry on.
Nobody's surprised by this.
No.
You didn't even have to say it. We all knew it.
They shouldn't be. Anyway, Black Adam's
So anyway, they let Dwayne Johnson announce Black Adam. He announced it with this beautiful piece of artwork of himself as Black Adam that was done by Jim Lee.
Spotted it as soon as I saw it. Because I love Jim Lee.
And so Jim Lee and Boss Logic collaborated on this image of him as Black Adam and with a release date. So here's what it says. He says, "The Man in Black. Like most kids growing up, I dreamed about being a superhero, having cool superpowers, fighting for what's right, and always protecting the people. It all changed for me when I was 10 years old and I was first introduced to the greatest superhero of all time, Superman. As a kid, Superman was the hero I always wanted to be, but a few years into my fantasy, I realized that Superman was the hero I could never be. I was too rebellious, too rambunctious, too resistant to convention and authority. Despite my troubles, I was still a good kid with a good heart. I just like to do things my way. Now, years later as a man with the same DNA I had as a kid, my superhero dreams have come true. I'm honored to join the iconic DC universe, and it's a true pleasure to become Black Adam. Black Adam is blessed by magic with the powers equal of Superman, but the difference is he doesn't toe the mark or walk the line. He's a rebellious, one-of-a-kind superhero who will always do what's right for the people, but he does it his way. Truth and justice, the Black Adam way. This role is unlike any I've ever played in my career, and I'm grateful to the bone that we'll all go on this journey together. Black Adam, 12/22/21. Huge thank you to my friends Jim Lee and Boss Logic for this first time ever badass collaboration."
See, he said Black Adam was a superhero no less than 2 times right there.
See, like, okay, maybe I need to be further educated on Black Adam. I have never once seen him do anything heroic, but
general consensus with Black Adam is anti-hero. Because he does often have his heart in the right place, but boy, he's kind of brutal about his approach. And obviously,
I've always seen him as like the Sinestro.
Yeah, kind of.
Which is not even an anti-hero. Like the thing where he says that Black Adam always does the right thing for the people. I'm like, really? Like, I don't know those stories. Maybe they do exist. I just don't know them.
But honestly, I'm not like a Black Adam historian. I mean, I'm not even going to act like I am. My bulk of knowledge of Black Adam comes from the DC short of Shazam and Superman fighting him and his participation or involvement in the 52 series. Not the new 52 series, but just the series that was called 52 post whatever crisis event that was. Which he was the best part of that story, other than Batwoman being introduced in it. But yeah, he's very much the anti-hero in there, and he does some questionable. This is why I say he's the Punisher with superpowers, because he does some questionable things that maybe aren't morally on the up and up, but generally his heart is in the right place when he's doing them.
So, aside from that element, I don't know. Yeah, let's say concerns me a little bit, is that they're just going to make him a hero. And I feel like that's not the case.
Well, I mean, obviously they're going to want to build up to him and Shazam throwing down at some point.
I would hope so.
But let's hope it's not a Batman v Superman scenario where they fight for 15 minutes and then spend the rest of the movie teaming up to fight whatever threat is opposing both of them.
Right.
Because that's not really what I want. Because although I think he's in a very moral gray area, I think he definitely leans more toward the dark side than the light side, and I would much rather him be the heavy protagonist for Shazam, or excuse me, antagonist in a Shazam movie.
Right. So that aside, we'll see how that plays out. But getting the official announcement, getting this awesome image, getting a release date, I'm super psyched. And it is the director who just worked with him on Jungle Cruise. So it's, oh man.
I can't remember the guy's name. I'll kick myself when you say it because I should. But
I want to say it's like Jamais Colette something.
Something I can't pronounce, yes.
They just did Jungle Cruise. I don't know it by heart. It's not in this release article, so now I have to look. So, but they must have had such a good time.
For everybody's entertainment while you look that up.
Thank you. They must have had a good time doing Jungle Cruise. Oh, so it's Jamais Colette Sarah.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Obviously. And I don't even know if Jamais is how you say it, but hey, why not, you know? But yes, so who also directed, where are you? Jamais. He did The Shallows, Unknown, Orphan, House of Wax, The Commuter.
Was that the Liam Neeson movie?
Yeah, he did a few of those Liam Neeson ones, which was Unknown, Nonstop, The Commuter. I think those were all Liam Neeson movies.
I'm not sure about Unknown, but the Commuter and Nonstop are, I think, yeah.
Unknown, yeah, it's another Liam Neeson one. So yeah, he did 3 Liam Neeson action thrillers. He did the Shallows. He did Jungle Cruise. He was in talks to do Suicide Squad 2 at a certain point, but he chose Jungle Cruise instead. So glad he came back and back to DC to do a little Black Adam with us.
I'm not a Black Adam super fan, but I dig The Rock. I think that guy's got more charisma than just about anybody working the last 30 years. I'm excited for this movie. I truly am. I think it's going to really be a special one, or at least I hope it will be.
Oh, I'm psyched, and I'm not a Black Adam expert because I always thought he was a villain. Silly me. But I like him. I like the director. I like superhero movies. I like DC. I can't wait. You know, it'll come out for Christmas of 21. And I saw there was a little concern because it was coming out at Christmas, and I think it's coming out. Is it around the time of Avatar 2?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
So there was concern about that, but it's like...
I'm not concerned about that in the least.
We saw what Jumanji 2 did right next to Star Wars, so there's plenty of room for big movies to make lots of money together at Christmas time.
We also know that Aquaman was going to get destroyed by Mary Poppins Returns. And
Obviously.
Something else that was released that I can't even remember what the hell the other thing that was released at the same time was.
Bumblebee,
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Mary Poppins Returns and Bumblebee adding their grosses together and doubling them didn't beat Aquaman. But I'm just saying.
Adding the grosses together, you are correct. Doubling them, then it finally did. But yes, they each made less than 400 worldwide, and Aquaman cleared $1 billion.
Okay. I'm not concerned about Avatar 2. I'm just not. Whether Avatar 2 lights the box office on fire, even close to what the first one does, or not, I'm not concerned about it. And it just came to me the perfect description of who Black Adam seems to me to be, at least in what I've experienced with him. He's the DC version of Magneto.
Okay.
Only instead of mutants, it's the Kandaki people that he's looking out for.
Okay, cool. Sweet. Well, here's what's exciting. So I'm psyched for that movie. I love that we're getting 3 DC movies in 21. All that is great news. What do you think that means? Oh, this is not where I was going, but I just thought of it. What do you think that means for Shazam 2?
If they want to make a Shazam movie and still have those kids involved, they might want to think about hitting the gas pedal on that.
Yeah. Well, and we had heard that they were going to for that
these
reason.
Kids are going to be too old for that part, at least as they portrayed it in the first movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But I've heard talk that that's where the Shazam 2 is going to land is 2022. I don't know if that's speculative or what that is, but
I feel like it would have to at this point. Like they would have to go into production next year, and then it would be released maybe spring of 22.
Well, see, that's something I hadn't considered. If they get the production underway and get the kids' parts mostly shot, and then release it, I mean, DC's got this habit of finishing a movie a year before it friggin' releases anymore. So, not anymore, but I mean, in a few cases that's been the case. So, I mean, I suppose if they get production going soon enough, even, the release date might be 3 years down the road, but if the production gets done soon enough, it might still work just fine, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that would make sense. I mean, could you imagine we get Black Adam at Christmas and then get Shazam 2 at Easter? And one of those two will tease the two of them coming together.
Certainly. I mean, that's just good business sense as far as I'm concerned, but...
Yeah. Again, I kind of expected that tease in Shazam, but
I mean, there was the briefest of it, but
so anyway, yeah, that's kind of what I feel like it was. They'll try to go sort of in that same spring time slot in 2022, because 21 now feels full. I just don't know if it's going to happen in time.
Yeah, we got 4 Marvel movies and 3 DC movies in 21.
Yeah. So.
That's 7 months. That means you don't have your rough math. You're going to have a little over 7 weeks time in between each movie, depending on how they're spaced out. But if you go on a 52-week year and you've got 7 movies landing, if they're spaced out evenly, you've got roughly just a hair over 7 weeks between each one. That's insane. Don't ever let it be said we're not living in the golden age of the geek here, my friends.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Anyway, we're not just going to meet Black Adam in Black Adam. Because, honestly, years ago when they said, Black Adam's going to get his own movie before he meets Shazam, even then I was kind of like, really? Like, I like The Rock. I guess Black Adam is cool, but, like, is that enough for a movie? Like, I need a little something more than that. And they're giving us more than that. So there had already been rumors that Hawkman will play a part in this. And now there have been additional rumors that Dr. Fate will be involved. Isis will be involved, although they may change her name like they had to do for Legends of Tomorrow. And it will introduce us to the JSA. And that just sounds awesome. And that came from The Rock himself. It said... they asked him, will Shazam and Black Adam fight in the Black Adam movie? And he said, that's not in the cards yet. Of course, no, he said, not to say, it's not in the cards yet. That's not to say Shazam isn't on my radar. Of course Shazam is, but so is all of DC. He said, JSA, we will introduce you to the world of the JSA. And that's amazing. Like, that sounds great. So, like, the fact that it's not just Black Adam, but it will be Black Adam, obviously in the past, somehow tangling with the JSA, that just sounds awesome.
You can't see it, but I'm really smiling big right now. And It's not because I'm like a massive JLA fan or anything, but that's just cool. You know what I'm saying? It's cool.
Yeah. Well, and like Hawkman, Dr. Fate, and Isis all very much dovetail nicely into Black Adam's world and his story. So all of that feels it feels a little more natural, and not to mention it just gives us more cool superheroes on screen. So I'm all in on it.
Definitely. What about Wildcat? Is Wildcat going to be in there?
We'll see.
Because, I mean, an old guy wearing a catsuit and boxing gloves fighting, well, not boxing gloves, but you know what I'm saying. Boxing with Black Adam sounds like a great idea.
There you go. I mean, who knows? Time will tell. So, exciting times.
Is Jake Garrick involved here?
It depends on, he says he'll introduce us to the world of the JSA. It's not clear on how many members of the JSA.
I mean, possibilities are endless because, I mean, the JSA roster is pretty doggone big, so.
Yeah. So, exciting times. December 22nd, 2021. Merry Christmas to us. I'll see you there. But before we get to Christmas of 21, we have the summer of 21, which is finally bringing us our new Batman movie.
There's a new Batman movie? Haven't heard a thing about it.
Yes. It's flying under the radar, but there is going to be a new Batman movie, Jamie.
Sounds like a small independent film.
Funny story, I was back in LA last week, and I got to have lunch with the other Jamie Magoo.
How's he doing?
He's great. Him and my old pal Brian Crosby, my old co-hosts for Batman Universe.
Oh, wow.
We got
Y'all
to
stepped into the Wayback Machine there. Nice.
Oh, my God, yeah. We went to Taco Bell, and we talked Batman, and it was glorious. And then our friend Kyle kept bringing up Star Wars, and we're like, Kyle, shh, we're talking about Batman.
Wait. I just while you were back, did you eat anywhere but Taco Bell? I'm just curious.
I did, but I mostly only did Mexican places.
My man.
Yeah. But it was so funny because Jamie Magoo was like, he goes, I was very disappointed in the internet for being so cool about Robert Pattinson as Batman. He was like, that's not how the internet works. He's like, we're supposed to freak out about it and make fun of it for a month or two, and then we get cool with it.
What he didn't see was people like me out there slapping down everybody that was saying nasty things about it. Because I wasn't.
It was so
for
funny.
it this time.
Yeah. I was like, are we learning? Nah.
It was there. I promise you it was there. It just wasn't as prevalent as it used to be.
Yeah. Anyway, so that was just funny to me where he was like, come on, like I wanted to watch the internet lose their minds, and he's like, I didn't really see it happen. And he was
as you're
sad
saying
about
that, I'm hearing it in his voice too. That's the delightful part.
Yeah. But anyway, so casting proceeds on the Batman. So while I was away, Matt Reeves did confirm Andy Serkis as Alfred.
I didn't see that
I
coming. I saw Andy Serkis coming, not for that part. I dig it. I'm all in for that.
It's super smart. Super smart. Me and Brendan talked about it last time. You missed it, so you don't get to talk about that.
Okay.
No, we said the same thing. We're like, oh, that's so smart. It's so funny because it's such a no-brainer, and for some reason none of us thought of it because they kept trying to make Andy Serkis a villain. But he's got to direct Venom too, and so this is a way for him to do both. Super cool. So that is officially confirmed. Hashtag confirmed. That's for Jamie and Brian. There you go. Hashtag confirmed, Andy Serkis. Colin Farrell still hashtag unconfirmed.
He didn't send that out yet?
No,
Oh, I thought
that
he
has
did.
not happened. We're still waiting on that. But what he did do was he blindsided us all with a casting that nobody leaked or announced or there was rumors, came out of nowhere, and I love it when that happens. We have a Carmine Falcone.
And nobody F's with him.
No. So, John Turturro, storied character actor, has been cast as Carmine Falcone in The Batman. And I love that this came out of nowhere, and I think it's awesome.
Not to say anything disparaging about the potential of a Batman movie or anything else, but Turturro's one of those guys that's great even when he's in a turd.
Except when he has to point out giant robot testicles.
He was great even in that, but the material wasn't. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he himself is not to blame for any of what transpired.
He is not. I just was like, you're not going to ask John Turturro to say that, are you? Oh, no, yeah, you are. You are. Okay. I really feel like those movies were just an excuse for Michael Bay to see what ridiculous things he could make respected actors do or say. Because there's one where John Malkovich is like doing kung fu with a ponytail. Like, I swear he was just like,
Malkovich was
what
in a Transformers movie?
It was one of them. I can't remember which one, but yes, it was insane.
I remember Kelsey Grammer in one.
He just wanted to make fools of all of these very well-respected actors.
It's amazing that those movies can
can
suck as bad as they did, but the ride at Universal is so fantastic.
Well, see? You can make good attractions out of bad movies and vice versa. But anyway, John Turturro, yes, he's one of those guys. He's always great. He's super talented. This is one of those, again, a choice that nobody had on their fan casting list, but when you hear it, you go, oh, yeah, I totally dig that. And so, very cool.
I'm all about it. I'm all in on that one.
Do you say Falcone or Falcone?
I have a tendency of saying Falcone, but I mean, it's like the Race Raz thing. It goes either way.
Well, it didn't until stupid Gotham. I think Gotham started the Falcone thing. It was always Falcone. And then Gotham said Falcone, and now when I say Falcone, I doubt myself because I had to listen to 5 years of Gotham saying Falcone. It's bullshit, Jamie.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
No, this is a real problem.
Okay. Of all the
And
things
I'm not
we're gonna
okay
get
with it.
Rage crazed about today. This is it, huh? All right.
This is it. This is what I'm mad about. Anyway, no, that's awesome. More casting. Just waiting for that Colin Farrell tweet. But Danny DeVito has given his stamp of approval, which is great.
All right, cool. I mean, you talk about there is no way if you gave me 10,000 chances I ever would have even considered his name going across the front of me to play that part. But the instant that it was said, I was like, oh, yeah, I am all about this.
Yeah.
I love Colin Farrell. Love him.
I agree with you. He's awesome. So good stuff. The Batman. I cannot wait. And again, that's what I'm psyched about. I just can't freaking wait for more of this movie.
Did you ever watch Scrubs?
A little bit.
Did you ever happen to see the episode where Colin Farrell was on it?
No.
Okay. Well, it's a fantastic episode. He actually gets to talk in like his native Irish accent, which is so unusual for him. I mean, you almost never see it from him. He was so good. That might be one of the best performances of his entire career. Was in that 22-minute sitcom.
Oh, okay.
So check that. People out there, Scrubs. It's on Hulu. Don't ask me to tell you which episode it is. You might have to do a little bit of Googling to figure it out. But trust me, it's worth your time to watch the episode of Scrubs with Colin Farrell.
Cool. And you know what? I was about to move on to Batman Beyond without even talking about one of the biggest things, because there's so much, I almost forgot it, is there are murmurs out there, murmurs that I am still taking with a huge grain of salt, but I want to address it, that the bat suit in the Batman might actually make my dreams come true.
You know what? Damn what other people say. Just for the sake of you, I hope it is.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you for that. That means a lot to me.
I want something different anyway, and I mean, at this point, I'll pretty much accept anything but all freaking black. But damn, I would love for you to just lose your shit over this happening.
Oh, it'd be so glorious. So, I mean, for a couple episodes now, we've talked about this as people are like, what do you want for the new Batsuit? What do you do for the Batsuit? And I always say the same thing. I go, I would love to see the blue and gray. It'll never happen, but I would love to see it in live action.
But you said out loud it'll never happen, so we know what's going to happen now.
That's why I'm still saying it'll never happen. I'm going on record saying this will never happen, Jamie. Do you hear it?
Yeah, I know. It's disappointing. It is.
Drawing the line in the sand. It will never happen. Although,
make sure you say that the yellow on the oval will never happen again.
The yellow oval will never come back. It'll never come back.
And the utility belt will be blended in with the uniform, and it won't have any contrast either. Make sure you say that.
Right. Absolutely. So there were rumors of it. The source is not the most reliable. And so that's why I'm like, yeah, it would be nice. I loved the discussion of it over the past week. Obviously, you know where I stand. I am team blue and gray all day, all week. For the people who say there's no way it could work in live action, you lack imagination. And I'm glad you don't work in my industry. That's all I'll say.
How does it not work in live action? There was 3 seasons of a goddamn television show where it worked in live action just fine, and nobody said a word.
I just love that. Oh, blue would look silly in live action. Use your imagination, dude. I don't know what to tell you. If you can only think in black and gray, I feel sorry for you. I would love to see it. It would be something totally different. There is certainly a way to do it without making it look like Batman 66. And if Matt Reeves truly has the cojones to go for it, I will birth his next child. I don't know. I didn't know where I was going with that. I will bake him a cake of the bat symbol. I would give him a back massage at his leisure. I don't know. I would do whatever he would ask me to do because it would be glorious. So I hope that is true, but it'll never happen.
I mean, they love to sell toys off of this stuff, right? Why wouldn't he have like 4 different costumes to put on in the middle of the movie?
Right.
I'm just saying.
And
who's
I sent it out.
You have to be restricted to one aesthetic on the costume.
I sent it out in a tweet, but I'm going to say it out loud just for funsies as well, is if you are one of those fans who think that Batman can only look good in black in live action, a black suit will only work. That's it. Good news. You have every Batman movie for the past 30 years.
I mean, he ain't wrong. Other than that,
please enjoy one of those.
I literally will be okay with anything but all black at this point. Like if the reveal photo comes out and it's all black, I'm just going to be like, you know, I
agree. Honestly, I still expect a tweak on the black and gray, which is fine. I like the black and gray. I do like the black and gray.
I do too.
That's what I expect.
Affleck's costume was fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, that's the best looking Bat costume that's ever been on screen, aside from the armor that he put on later in that costume. And that's because of my affinity from where that armor came from. It's not because I actually think it looks better than the other Bat costume.
I agree. No, I agree. I think Ben Affleck's Batman costume is the best live action Batman we have seen. But do I think we can still do better? Yes, I do. And I am willing to let Matt Reeves try.
You ever see that movie, My Blue Heaven, with Steve Martin and
Oh yeah. Williams? Oh yeah. I tip everybody.
We're at the bar right now, and I'm leaning over. I'm with you.
So no, I would love it. Again, I ain't holding my breath, but it would be amazing. Because honestly, like all these things that we're hearing about the Batman movie, you know, the amount of different characters we're getting, these great actors playing these characters, the possibility of a suit that's a little more comic book influenced, a detective story, like all these things that we're hearing, it could just be the Batman movie I've been waiting for.
I'm saying it genuinely feels like it's building up to something special here. They've had all the time in the world to piece it together exactly the way they wanted to do it, or Reeves did, or however you want to look at that. The cast is unmatched in a comic book movie as far as I'm concerned. It's just wow. I don't know what else to say at this. I have not seen a piece of news about this movie anywhere that I've been like, nothing gives me any kind of pause about this whatsoever. It just feels like it's going to be right. I mean, there's no other way to say it than it feels right.
Yeah, and it feels like, for all of these things that we are hearing, it just feels like Matt Reeves is doing this just for me. And so, Matt Reeves, thank you for that. Are you doing this just for me? Because
he's a big fan of the show. You know, he doesn't want that big public. So everybody act like you didn't hear me say that. But he's a big fan of the show, and he's helping Andy out. Yeah.
It's all the things I've been asking for that might actually come to pass, maybe. Which makes me go, oh God, what's the Batmobile going to be?
Right now, and say there's no way in hell that the Batman's internal monologue will ever happen in this film.
No, there's no way they'll do that. Okay. No way.
That's heartbreaking. Because that's what I'm asking for a minute.
And there's no way that the Batmobile won't just be another huge tank. No way. I mean, it's gonna be a massive, huge tank.
We're a distance away, but I mean, in the course of the next 6 months, by Comic-Con, I'm expecting that we're gonna really have something to get a hold of by this. What I want to ask you now is, what do we get first, the suit or the Batmobile?
Ooh, good question.
Because they were like right on top of each other for the last time around.
Yeah, that's true. I assume the suit. I feel like that's how you make the biggest splash.
Or both. I mean, Batman 89 was both, right?
Yep. Batman 89 was Keaton in front of the Batmobile. Batfleck was him in front of the Batmobile. Let just give me a twofer.
Like we got. Oh, that's right. The BVS one, they were teasing it with the tarps over the top of the Batmobile, and they said, this might come off. Zack Snyder said,
yes,
might come off tomorrow or something like that. And when the reveal happened, we all expected the Batmobile, but it was both of them together. That's right.
Right.
I remember now.
Yeah. But with Batman Begins, we did get the Batmobile first before we saw Batman. I distinctly remember that.
I don't remember anything about Batman Begins when it was coming up. I really don't. I don't even feel like I knew it was in production. I feel like I just saw the trailer and it was like, oh, wow, another Batman movie.
No, it was a different time.
It's true.
The days before podcasts and...
over information.
Twitter and social media. None of that existed. You had to, like, if you were interested in a movie, you had to go to that movie's website.
Or go pick up
Like
a magazine at a bookstore.
What? Yeah. Anyway, I'm psyched. He'll never wear the blue and gray, but for one glorious week, I was allowed to hope, and that'll have to be enough.
I was shocked at the amount of division in between that. There were
So
some people that just flat out were like, hell no, I don't want anything to do with that ugly stuff. And there were other people that are like, hell yes, it can't be anything else at this point. I mean, I will say, surprised about division
at this point
anymore, but I mean, I was genuinely shocked about that.
I am shocked at how many fans said no way it wouldn't work. I was shocked by that.
I'm also shocked at the amount of people that said
you know what? Here's the thing. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. I mean, were you surprised? I mean, it seems to me there were a lot of people that were also griping about the yellow bat or symbol.
Yeah.
It's like that's been a part of his heritage.
He wore that for 50 years. Like, yeah, why are we pretending that's a bad thing now?
I mean, even the ridiculous Rebirth suit, which I've never cared for, had a yellow border around the bat.
Yeah, I know.
Not the same thing, I know, but it was still there.
Yep, I know. I've sat quietly for 30 years now and let people enjoy their all black bat costumes. Now you do the same if I'm going to get something else, okay? You show me the same respect for the next 30 years.
I'm good any which way except for all black. Like I say, all black is the only thing that would disappoint me about it. So.
For sure. Well, it was funny. We were talking about it, having a spirited debate, where someone mentioned, I can't remember who it was. I'm so sorry. Someone was like, yeah, like the Batman Begins suit was even super close to like the Keaton one. And I was like, yeah, so close that I remember when that movie was coming out, people thought it was a prequel because the suit looked too much like the other one. So anyway, it's exciting moving forward. But it doesn't matter, it won't happen.
No.
It's going to be all black.
This whole discussion has been for nothing. We're all going to be disappointed.
It's going to be black. Anyway, there you go. Phew! So much, but fun stuff to discuss. Lots happening, and the beat goes on. see what happens while I'm traveling next week for Thanksgiving. But anyway, we did say that we wanted to jump back into Batman Beyond because we haven't done it in a little while. So without further ado, we're going to continue our journey by reviewing another episode of Batman Beyond. I feel like the last few you didn't even have to do. Brendan had to do them for you, Jamie.
But I did watch them right along.
Oh, good. Thank you for that.
Actually, I watched them way in advance. In fact, the episode we're doing now, I watched for a second time because I watched a handful of episodes while traveling back and forth from Orlando.
Ah, nice.
So I'm keeping with my promise of I knew this was the only way I would ever watch this show was reviewing for the podcast. So just so everybody knows out there, I'm sticking to that. Even the episodes I'm not on, I'm still watching the episodes.
Good job. So we are now on season 1, episode 11, which is Disappearing Inque. This one aired on May 8th of 1999. And so Inque has been like in frozen stasis in custody ever since we met her at the beginning of the season. And this worker who's got to take care of her, he's disgruntled, he's unhappy at work, but he vents to her while she's frozen in there, and he talks to her, and he feels like there's this relationship even though she can't speak or can't react. She's just frozen there. Anyway, he gets fired because his relationship is creepy, and when he gets fired, as a way to get back at the company, he releases Inque. And so she is released, and she is back in Gotham. So she hooks up with this guy. She needs his help because she can't turn back into her human self. They need to break into some chemical place to get something that's going to help, I don't know, solidify her so she can become her human self. At the same time, Terry and Bruce are like, they're still doing their thing. Bruce is showing Terry around the Batcave. He shows him this old, cool, huge bat mech suit that was a little too hard for him to use, so he didn't use it. But we find out that Bruce has never told Terry why he quit being Batman. So we find out Inque is out. Terry's got to go try and intercept Inque. They do a nice little callback where he brings Mr. Freeze's gun with him because that's how they defeated her last time, and she immediately destroys it, so that's out the window. But we find out she doesn't like water. So Terry tries to intercept them at the chemical plant. He fails. She manages to kind of get this injection of whatever this stuff is, and so she can become human again. The guy who is helping her, his name is Aaron, he wants her to turn him into someone like her. He wants the same powers that she has. And so what she does is she gives him like half the dosage, so he doesn't quite become that, but he becomes really unstable and gross and gooky. So Batman and Inque fight. They defeat Batman. They kidnap him. He is being held in like a gym with a skylight. She doesn't want to kill him until she can get the old man. She doesn't know who Bruce is, but she knows that she's got to get them both, and she was using Terry as bait to get Bruce. So, of course, surprise, surprise, Bruce shows up in the big mech suit that we saw earlier in the episode. Who saw that coming? Not me. Certainly not me. So he shows up in the mech suit, fights Inque for a little while. Bruce gets in on the action. Terry gets free. Terry breaks the skylight. The rain comes in, defeats Inque. She washes away. And Aaron, in his new unstable state, ends up back in the cell where Inque was, where now a female worker who is taking care of him is essentially doing to him what he did to Inque, which is just venting her everyday troubles to him every single day. And that is Disappearing Inque. So, Jamie, thoughts on this episode?
I really like this one. I think it's a really good episode. I really like Inque. I think Inque is my favorite villain by far so far. I think when we did the one where she first showed up, I think I said I hoped that she came back. I certainly didn't anticipate it being this soon, and I was happy to see it. Before, I think I made the parallels when we talked about her that she was much like a mix of like Venom and Clayface. And in this one, it feels like even a little bit of Poison Ivy gets sprinkled in with her as well. Maybe that's more because of her human aesthetic when she actually maintains her human form. The hairstyle and whatnot kind of is reminiscent of Ivy. But I like her. I mean, the creativity of doing her various abilities in her, I don't know the right word, the gelatinous state or whatever you want to call it, I think is really cool stuff. I've always liked that about Venom, and I like that about Inque here as well. I like seeing Bruce in on the action again. Of course, I always think of Bruce as the Batman, and I don't accept substitutes. Maybe that's my own hang-up. I like the sympathy that you feel for the guy that is working in the containment cell that releases her. I mean, he obviously made some bad choices, and his life isn't going the greatest, but I kind of felt for the guy. And then in the end, when he's in the exact same circumstance as her, having to listen to some quote-unquote loser drivel on about their day and all their stuff going on in their lives, I mean, that has to be the ultimate torture of that containment is hearing that stuff.
Right.
And I don't want to say that this was coincidental because I don't think it is, but boy, does that nurse or whatever she is really remind me of Annie Wilkes from Misery.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think it's a really good episode. I do think that you're right. Of all the new villains they've created for this, I think that Inque is probably the best. If not one of the best, definitely one of the best, but maybe she is the best. I liked the story conceit of she gets loose not because she's just that good or she escapes. I like the idea of a disgruntled worker setting her free. That to me just makes a lot more sense. And I had an easier time buying that because Yeah, making it an inside job makes a lot more sense. I like that she came back. I liked how they tried to use the same way to defeat her again, and it immediately failed and backfired, and they had to figure out something else. And yeah, I did love the poetic justice of Aaron ending up on the other side of that tank by the end of the episode. It's tragic and it's sad. And it's funny because I don't really remember this episode, but I remember the visual of him being all kind of plasticky and unstable. That image was somehow burned into my head because it's so pathetic and tragic and everything. So I think it is a really good episode. And again, it wasn't a shock to see. As soon as you see that suit at the very beginning, you're like, oh, of course Bruce is going to wear it. But it is nice to see Bruce get out of the cave every now and then on this show. So I agree with you. I think it's a really good one.
We seem to have saw the same episode.
So, yeah. Inque. I don't remember how much she comes back for the rest of the series, but
hopefully
I agree.
lot.
I think that she's a good one.
Yeah,
she's cool. And I liked the idea of her, because it's funny, she was just sort of her Inky self, and she hadn't turned human yet, and I noticed it, and I was like, oh, is she going to become human? And then that's when Bruce points out, is like, oh, she's unstable. Her being frozen or whatever in stasis has damaged her human DNA. And so that's why she can't turn back into her human self, which I'm sure you noticed, because I'm sure you thought, oh, why wouldn't she just try to slip out as a human? And Terry was like, oh, yeah, of course I thought that.
I thought that was a great moment of him doing that. But I also really liked her plan of escape and kind of just becoming that guy's clothes as she was coming out. I mean, again, the creativity of using her powers in different ways is a highlight for me. As long as they can keep up cleverness like that, I think that's really fun to play around with.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good one. And so very enjoyable. And I also like how it sets up the fact that Terry doesn't really know what happened to Bruce. And so it's something that'll have to come later.
He really should find out because, heart disease and all that sort of thing is hereditary in a lot of cases. So, spoilers.
Right.
Spoilers.
So anyway, what are any other thoughts and a letter grade for Disappearing Inque?
It was a lot of fun. I think it had some weight to the episode too, as far as the characters and their motivations and their interactions. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it still wasn't a perfect episode, and in going along, 11 episodes in, outside of, I'm not counting Return of the Joker, the movie, in there because I really dug that a lot. But as far as the episodes I've seen, this is definitely at the top of my list for ones I'd happily revisit, along with the Mr. Freeze episode. So for me, this was an A-.
Nice. Yep, I really like it. I was at a B+. Just it's a really good, strong episode, so I enjoyed it. Moving forward, next one will be A Touch of Carrera.
Tia Carrera? What? Well, now you got my attention.
That would be cool. So anyway, A Touch of Carrera. Yes, we'll do that one next. Maybe on the next episode, maybe not. Just, it's a crapshoot sometimes. But anyway, glad we got back on the horse for that. Now, let's move forward and answer some of your emails as we crack open the Wayne Manor mailbox. It's time again for the Wayne Manor mailbox.
You've got mail.
What is a letter for me?
Maybe temporary.
She wrote a letter.
You're one hell of a messenger. Sizzle, Master Wayne.
Okie dokie, what do we got here? This here is from Franklin Gnosis. It says, hey, Andy, Brendan, and possibly Jamie.
Nah, Brandon's on vacation. Don't speak to him.
He says, I was rewatching the 1994 film The Shadow with Alec Baldwin. I was wondering if the superhero characters from the pulp magazines like Zorro, The Shadow, The Phantom will ever make a comeback. After all these characters influenced the creation of Batman, I'd love to see them maybe get a modern retake, especially since the movies from the 90s are sadly forgotten. Anyway, I wanted to hear your thoughts. Take care, Franklin. Thanks, Franklin. What do you think, Jamie? Do you think that The Shadow, The Phantom, and who's the other one? Zorro could have a a resurgence?
I think at some point, somebody that's passionate about one of those characters is going to make a push to make it happen, and they'll have enough influence to talk a studio into doing it. They seem to run in cycles. When you get one that's successful, next thing you know, 3 more of them show up right next to them. So, I mean, if something along the lines of the Lone Ranger that Disney made a few years back, which I'm with you, I really like most of that movie. There's parts of that movie I really hate, but I mean, most of it I enjoyed. If that would have been a success, I think we would have had more stuff like Zorro or things like that. As I recall, and I don't, I'm hazy on it because I wasn't paying as much attention to stuff like that back then. That first Antonio Banderas Zorro movie was quite successful, but the second one was not, so that kind of killed that where it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think eventually some of that stuff will come around. Will it be a full-blown resurgence to the level of like what we get comic book films in now? Hard to say, because none of them have really seemed to have maintained any relevance in the zeitgeist of pop culture. But I mean, I wouldn't have any objection to it. In fact, I just saw that Alec Baldwin Shadow movie for the first time earlier this year, and I thought it was decent. I didn't find anything particularly wrong with it. I mean, it wasn't fantastic, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Still haven't seen The Phantom, but it's on Amazon Prime. I should get on that because I love Billy Zane. Billy Zane chews scenery like no other, man. So I should watch that.
Yeah, I like all those movies that you mentioned. I like The Shadow, I like The Phantom, and I like both of the Banderas Zorro movies. So, and I love The Lone Ranger. So I'm into all of that. Do I think they'll come back? Yeah, I do, because IP is the currency of the day, and those, even though the last attempts to reboot those haven't been successful, will someone try? Yeah, of course they will, because it's still a name that they can slap on something, and I hope it works, because I think all those are great characters. There are great stories to tell in those worlds, and I would love to see it happen. So, yeah, I could totally see it happening. Like, maybe it wouldn't be a movie. Maybe it'd be a Netflix series or something, especially now that, you know, Netflix lost Marvel. Like, maybe Netflix could do something with those. I'd watch the hell out of that.
If Disney didn't own the rights, I'd say Netflix should do a John Carter series, because that's tailor-made for a TV show.
Yeah, I'm sure Disney will let those rights lapse.
Or maybe even try it themselves. Who knows what Disney Plus will bring us down the road. But even like Flash Gordon, excuse me, this feels to me like the prototype for it. Flash Gordon, the movie that, you know, that's how I know Flash Gordon for the most part. I saw a little bit of the old TV show back in the day, you know, in syndication and what have you. Not a lot. But the movie, which I adore and I will not tolerate any slander against, so please don't at me with that. I love that movie, and I thought it was great, but it was not the overwhelming success that they had hoped it would be, especially coming out in the time when Star Wars was the hottest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's the same thing. I feel like they've talked about for well over 10 years now about rebooting the Flash Gordon movie, and it never seems to get off the ground. And I wonder how much that has to do with the fact that who the hell knows who Flash Gordon is anymore. Right. I mean, we literally, our generation that we're in, people in their mid-30s to mid-40s, literally have to be the last people on Earth who know who Flash Gordon even is. I know my kids sure as hell don't know who he is, because there's no relevance there. He's not been any kind of presence in pop culture. And I feel like that's the problem, or the hesitancy they'll have with the Shadow or Zorro or Tarzan. Or I mean, Tarzan they've tried multiple times, and none of them ever seem to work, so I don't know what to say about that.
Except the Disney one. Disney one made a lot of money in 1999.
Yeah, but even that was 20 years ago now. You get my point. When something is in pop culture relevance, it's a little bit easier for studios and executives to feel comfortable letting something like that fly. When something has no presence, you really got to have something special to get them to take that shot.
Yeah, for sure. You can't expect the IP to sell it. You have to sell it with what's in the movie or the show, and then they go, oh God, that just looks great. And then you have to build the new affinity for the IP.
Certainly.
All right, next message is from Scott Anderson. It says, hey guys, I want to try and keep it short and sweet because I know many people like to leave novels for you. Thank you, Scott. That's true. It says, have you heard about the new update to Tim Drake? Apparently he's not Red Robin anymore. He is known as Drake, and he has a new costume to boot. What do you think of it? I think it'll just take time to acclimate. Thank you, Scott Anderson. Thank you, Scott. We talked about this on an episode in the past month or so, because that's when it happened. So, real quick, I'll just say, I think Drake, that's super lazy, but okay.
That's very on the nose. And I mean, he can't even be trying to maintain a secret identity with that, right?
Yeah, like, why just go with your last name? And then I think the costume is garbage. The name I could get used to. The costume immediately has to change color because right now he looks like a turd. And so I don't think it'll last. I think it'll be another failed attempt at a new persona for Tim Drake.
They're trying all kinds of crazy stuff in comics with the Bat family members to try and reinvigorate their images and popularity, like Rick Grayson. Did somebody really do that shit with a straight face?
Like, yeah, like, why?
Or have you seen the Red Hood costume now where he has like the crowbars and stuff on his back?
No.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with these the way they were. Stop trying to fix it.
It's not broken.
I understand updating and modernizing and everything else, but I mean, some of these characters aren't even old enough to make that a thing. You know, it's just stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, like, why Rick Grayson? Because you know what, Jamie? I love Dick. I love Dick Grayson. He's one of my favorite characters.
All right, who's got the soundbite put together for him?
Now all three of us are even. All right, moving forward. I missed this at the beginning of the episode, and this just is because this shows you how full our inbox was that I missed it. I mentioned earlier we are on Patreon, and I forgot to give a shout out to a new patron because I'm a terrible person. That is Carly Gallagher. So, Carly, thank you. You did not have to do that. We really do appreciate it. Thank you for being a patron of the show. I'm glad you enjoy the show enough to do that. And Carly does interact on Twitter, and she's extremely supportive, and she seems lovely. So, Carly, huge thank you for becoming a patron to Holy BatCast. It really does mean a lot to us. Next message is from Mario. It says, "Hey, Andy, Brendan, maybe Jamie. Will you guys be doing a Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover with the DC TV Squadcast? Your podcast rocks. Thanks for all the legwork, production values, and background work that you do." Mario, thank you for the message. Will we do a crossover? We will definitely be covering Crisis. Will we do a crossover with DC TV Squadcast? I would love to. Those guys are sweethearts, and I love them. It's just a matter of scheduling, and as you have heard, if you listen to the show, my schedule is a mess right now.
I honestly haven't even tried to push that issue simply because getting you and I coordinated to do an episode is enough of a headache right now. Trying to get two other people in two other time zones involved with it is just tragic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you. Love those guys. They're great people. Brent, Ray, that whole network of guys over there, good people. But trying to make these things work out is not. I mean, it wasn't simple before. Now it's just a bloody logistics nightmare.
Yeah, and that is mostly my fault. So I can't even find time with myself, let alone anyone else. So anyway,
you time, Andy.
I do. I need to take myself on a date. I've been neglecting me, and I feel like I just don't care anymore. So
go to Taco Bell, get a couple of burritos. When you're done there, go over and get yourself a peppermint mocha. It's on me.
Sounds wonderful. Anyway, next message is from Jacob. It says, "Hey guys, I love the show. I discovered it a couple months ago. I've listened to dozens of previous episodes. I heard a rumor about the new bat suit being blue and gray. I love that suit. It's my favorite Batman look. I was wondering if you guys have seen The Lighthouse. Willem Dafoe is great as always, and Robert Pattinson is phenomenal. Like many, I had doubts when he was cast, but I'm all for it after seeing his performance here. I love you guys. Keep kicking ass. Best, Jacob Norris from Louisville, Kentucky." Jacob, thank you for the message. Well,
listen, you got to say it like you got a mouthful of yogurt. It's Louisville. It's not Louisville. It's Louisville. You got to say it like a mouthful of yogurt.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Louisville. Louisville.
When you have family from Kentucky, you'll get corrected on that a lot.
Okay, I don't. Jacob, first of all, welcome to the party, pal. Thanks for finding us. I think we covered the blue and gray suit. I am all for it if it happens, but it won't, so it doesn't matter. And The Lighthouse, I have not seen it because if I can't get It Chapter 2 and Joker in China, do you really think I'm going to get The Lighthouse? But I do want to check it out. I've heard nothing but good things.
I don't know anything about that film. I don't know a synopsis. I haven't seen a trailer. I don't know nothing about it, but I've heard buzz. So that's one of those ones I'm going to go into ice cold, and it'll at this point be a rental because Ford versus Ferrari was my most anticipated movie of the year. I still haven't seen that, and it's been out for over a week now. So, yes, shame on me. I know. I don't get.
I just saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I got to go
today.
see Dr. Sleep a week and a half ago. Well, actually, it was last Saturday, because my wife and I finally had our anniversary dinner, which our anniversary is in the middle of July. So that tells you how tough my schedule is. Anyway, my wife, after we got done with dinner, wanted to go to a movie. Shocked, I know. So we went and saw Dr. Sleep. But that's the only reason I've seen Dr. Sleep is because she wanted to go.
Was it great?
It was really good. She liked it more than I did. I'm of the opinion it would have served itself better to either been a half an hour shorter or a half an hour longer. There was some stuff going on with characters that I felt either needed to be cut out or developed further to make it the best movie it could have been. But I mean, it's a good movie. I would watch it again with little to no hesitation. And Rebecca Ferguson and Ewan McGregor are both magnificent in this film.
Great. I actually was like, maybe I'll have time to see it while I'm in LA last week, and that did not happen. So I was too busy at Taco Bell. Just passed out in the corner with nacho cheese all over my shirt.
I'm sorry.
Belt undone. Hair disheveled.
That was Andy's Thanksgiving. Nachos Del Grande and Doritos Locos Tacos.
And I was just like, keep it coming. And they're like, sir, we have to cut you off. We've never had to cut off anyone in the history of Taco Bell, but this is the day.
Now I've got the John Panette thing going through my head. You've been here for 4 hours. You go now.
Yeah.
Anyway, The Lighthouse, I'm very curious about it because of the buzz I've heard for it, but it'll be a rental for me.
All right, next message is from Carl Fuston. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family, do you think that Danny DeVito is underrated as the Penguin? When I hear people talk about different villains, they talk about Jack Nicholson more than the Penguin. Personally, I really enjoyed Danny DeVito's Penguin very much. Carl, thank you for the message. Jamie, what do you think?
I think whether or not you appreciate what the choices for the character in that film were, DeVito's performance is absolutely on point with that. And he is having the time of his life. I dare say, in his storied career, and as much of a fan as I've been of his going all the way back to the days of Taxi, I don't know that he's ever given a better performance than he did in that part. Don't at me, because I don't want to hear it.
Amen, dude. I am with you. Do I think he's underrated as the Penguin? Absolutely. I really do. I think that he gives a performance just as good as Jack Nicholson gives as the Joker. And that is not to bring down Jack Nicholson's performance. I'm just saying that's how good I think Danny DeVito is in Batman Returns. And I don't think enough people appreciate that because, to Jamie's point, I think a lot of people are turned off by some of the choices made about the character itself. But that's not to say that Danny DeVito didn't work his ass off and didn't give a hell of a performance. I think he's great.
I can't see a golf umbrella now without saying out loud, that's the biggest parasol I've ever seen. I can't.
Yeah.
Nobody ever gets it when I say it, but I never restrain myself from saying it.
Teach her my French flipper trick. Next message is from Condor Zalander. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family, with the announcement of Patrick Wilson returning as Orm in Aquaman 2, what are your predictions for the character? Condor, thank you for the message. What do you think, Jamie, Orm in Aquaman 2?
I've said right along, I think the best way to approach Aquaman 2 is Black Manta going on a tirade against all of anything Atlantis, especially Arthur and Mera. And eventually Arthur's going to go have to get Orm out of the Atlantean clink to help him stop Black Manta. That's been my prediction since I walked out of Aquaman 1.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see the strained partnership there. So yeah, that makes sense to me. The fact that Arthur was already ready
to hash it out right there. I still love that dearly because you don't see that often in movies, especially not these kind
for
of
sure.
movies.
For sure. No, I agree. And I hope that he has a nice big role because I thought he was amazing in the part. Next message here. It is, let's see if there's no name. It's from another podcast called Brews, Booze, and Reviews. It says, greetings, Andy, Brendan, and Jamie from Brews, Booze, and Reviews podcast. Oh, this is Knox. You know what, Jamie?
Does he need a
Knox
grant? Is that what he's asking for?
Get Knox a grant. He says, I'm a fellow bat freak. Thanks for the great content. I appreciate the dynamic that you guys have during the recording process. I especially love the after credit scene stingers that you put on at the end. They are hilarious. Anyway, the first question's for Jamie, perhaps the rest of you. When the 21 and above bat crew unwinds at the end of an exhausting night of crime fighting, what alcoholic beverages do you think they unwind with? My thoughts are Batman, bourbon, Nightwing, Budweiser, Batgirl, vodka cranberry, Red Robin, Jaeger bombs, Red Hood, barrel-aged stout, Alfred, gin and tonic, Batwoman, Merlot, Jim Gordon, scotch. I mean,
it's tough to contest anything on that list except for Alfred, because we all know Alfred likes a Furley Brinker. Whatever the hell that is.
I was trying to remember what the hell that was, and I'm glad that you came through for me, because I was like, oh, can I look up the name of that drink in time?
To this day, some 7 years later, I still have no idea what the hell it is. I just remember hearing that name and going, that's weird, but okay.
Yeah, we know that's what Alfred likes. We know. Yeah, I mean, all this sounds good to me.
Batman, he likes ginger ale. He doesn't do real beer. He does.
That's true.
The champagne. He does ginger ale, and Gordon's on to him with it.
I would just say, do you think Tim does Jaeger bombs? That feels really harsh.
I mean,
for Tim.
that's something the teenage crowd really seems to like. So I mean,
but Tim's a nerd.
Yeah, that's true.
I just don't know if he'd go as hard as Jaeger. That just seems. I think Jason would do Jaeger.
Yeah, I'll switch Jason to Jaeger because I drink a lot of beer. I'm drinking a barrel-aged stout right now, as a matter of fact, at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I don't want to drink the same thing Jason does, so switch him to Jaeger bombs or White Claw or Zima or something. Just get him off of my drink. And, I mean... Well,
I feel like Tim would have like a... I think he would have a ginger ale because like he just doesn't strike me as a drinker.
The one that
He's
made me laugh the most
responsible.
was Barbara and the vodka cranberry because
that's perfect.
That's
perfect.
I mean, that's perfect.
No, absolutely. And I think that, yes, Jim Gordon Scotch, that tracks for me.
Yeah, that works.
Batwoman Merlot, yeah, okay, can dig it.
I mean, I can
anyway.
drinking like wild turkey straight out of the bottle too. So I don't know. Either way goes with that.
Yeah, I could see her go harder too. Yeah. Next question. It says, and this is still from the same podcast. He said, or Knox says, what are your thoughts on the current Dark Universe infected Batman Who Laughs storyline? I loved reading the storyline that Batman Who Laughs was directly involved in. Loved the look. Loved all the Dark Universe mashups. Second favorite is Grim Knight. What was your favorite? Keep up the great work and congrats on Joker reaching $1 billion. Cheers.
We had everything to do with that, so we deserved it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could take any credit for that. I can take none except for. No, I can't even say I take $14 worth of credit because Michael Lyons bought my ticket.
That's true. At least I bought my own ticket to mine.
I literally contributed $0 to that box office.
Michael bought my ticket for my second viewing, but my first viewing I did. So I have.
But my friend Michael Lyons, who I roped into going, is responsible for like $100 of that because he paid for everybody's tickets because he's a nice fella.
Michael's great. I love him.
He's a good dude. As for the Dark Universe, Batman Who Laughs, all that, I am completely behind on my comics. Jamie, this is you or nobody.
I've liked a lot of it. Honestly, the Batman Who Laughs, I think it's a great character. I think the potential is still there to be tapped to make him a better character even than what he is. Honestly, I have a little bit of a hang-up anytime I see him because right now he's the main antagonist in the Batman-Superman book that just launched a couple months ago. I don't like reading his dialogue because I have a very hard time seeing red on black. And his dialogue bubbles are black with red letters. So I really have to strain to see that. I mean, that's just my own vision screwing with me. It's not anything they're doing wrong with the character per se. So, yeah, I mean, that's as far as what my favorite bit of all of that was, the Red Death. They did the one-shot origins for each one of the Dark Multiverse Batman, and the Red Death was by far my favorite of that group. I liked all of them, but that was my favorite.
Great. Thank you. And thank you for the message. Next message is from Garrett Poulos. It says, I have a question about Anne Hathaway. I thought she would be great as the Joker. What say you? Would the audiences accept a female Joker now that we've had 5 great on-screen male Jokers, or would people be confused and angry? It might be a road too far, especially with a character like Harley Quinn out there, but I would love it. Thoughts? Kind regards, Garrett. Garrett, thank you for the message. Jamie, what do you think? Do you think a female... Well, I will just say Anne Hathaway as anything I pretty much support. I just think she's great. So if they were to do a female Joker, yeah. Do I think she'd be great? Sure. But the bigger question, Jamie, what do you think about a female Joker?
I can tell you this. Anne Hathaway would be a better idea for Joker than Julia Roberts for Harriet Tubman.
Oh, man, I saw that. That's amazing.
I had to double check that wasn't an Onion article. I still can't believe that. Anyway, I don't want to get into that whole thing. But anyway, Google Julia Roberts, Harriet Tubman. You'll figure it all out if you don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I'm not sure it's necessary. I mean, I'm with you. I'll watch Anne Hathaway do anything. And I think she has a beautiful smile. I think she's absolutely gorgeous. But she does have a very wide mouth. And if she smiles big, I can kind of see it. I kind of see what led this writer to this conclusion. So I wouldn't be utterly opposed to it. I mean, especially if they were doing something like Flashpoint where it's a female Joker anyway. But the general populace, would they be accepting of it? I want to say they're getting better about this sort of thing, but I just don't know.
So I don't see a need for a female Joker because, to your own point, we have Harley Quinn. So why like I normally I have no problem with race swapping or even gender swapping certain characters as long as it makes sense. But for Joker, I just don't making a female Joker to me feels arbitrary and just confusing. I don't know what the point would be because you have a Harley Quinn.
Like if they wanted to make a comic book where they literally just gender flipped everybody, just for the fun of it, like for, a couple issues or even a one shot or something, I think that would be a lot of fun because then you could have like a female Joker and like her sidekick Harlow Quinn or something, or Batman being Batwoman, and that would be fun. I would be really intrigued to see what they could play with in that notion. But as far as doing it for like a mainstream movie or something, I don't personally oppose it, but I'm with you. I don't see it's necessary, and I don't know that the general public would be cool with it.
Right.
Of course, I didn't know.
And they tried to make.
I didn't know the general public would be cool with a friggin' Joker that didn't have anything to do with Batman. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah. Well, for a while they tried to have the Joker's daughter, which was an original character, but that didn't seem to go anywhere.
That was one of the worst characters in DC history, at least in Crisis on Infinite Earths era. Oh, yeah. God, she's terrible.
Well, is she still around? I feel like I saw her pop up for a little while and then she disappeared.
She is not. She was like kind of in the later end to tail end of New 52 where they were transitioning and taking the New 52 stuff off because she was part of the Suicide Squad in that era.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is where I know her from because I read a couple of those trades because my daughter was Harley Quinn obsessed, of course. So, all Harley Quinn books came in the house. But I have not seen her so much as make a peep in Rebirth anywhere.
Got it. Yeah. All right, next message from Bishop Pearson. It says, hey, Holy BatCast family, could the Black Adam movie set up the sequel for Shazam? And were you a fan of Dwayne Johnson when he was wrestling in the WWF, along with other wrestlers like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Undertaker, Triple H, Kane, and Mankind? Bishop, thank you for the message. We talked a little bit about Black Adam. I think they will somehow have a nod to Shazam, or maybe plant a couple seeds for Shazam 2, sure. I don't think it is going to be like a direct segue from Black Adam into Shazam, but I think that there will be some sort of crossover. Jamie, thoughts?
That sounds fairly accurate. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah.
And then I never watched the WWF, but even then I still knew The Rock and I still liked The Rock, even though I didn't watch wrestling. So I think that sort of answers your question, is he was that good and that big that even someone who wasn't a wrestling fan, I still knew him and liked him.
Yeah, he was kind of a household name during that era. I mean, I watched wrestling lots as a kid. Like, back in the Hulk Hogan, Roddy Piper, Macho Man, Ricky Steamboat, that whole era, I was like way into that stuff. My grandfather used to take me every time it would come to town, and we met Macho Man and Hillbilly Jim and a ton of those guys. I used to stand by the entrance to the ring and high five them as they'd come out. Here's a fun one. I was probably 13 or 14 years old, and I was at one of those things. It was just me and some friends. Nobody had any of their parents or anything there. And the Honky Tonk Man was coming toward the ring. And he was, kind of doing his little hip shaking and, playing the guitar and doing all that stuff. And he got up near us, and people were trying to high five him, and he was a heel, so he never wanted to high five anybody. So he got up, and my friend had his hand out, and he started trying to walk by him, and my friend cold cocked him with his hand, like full blown, all the way back, pimp slapped the Honky Tonk Man across his face. Funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Anyway. Sorry for the sidetrack there. I'll remember that to the day I die because it was the funniest thing I ever saw. So I was big into it back then. Then I kind of got out of it. And then I was working with this guy at the phone company that was like the biggest wrestling fan you'd ever meet in your life. And he was like way into like all of it, but especially WCW at that time. So anytime I go over to his house, we wound up watching wrestling. And he's one of those guys, if you try to tell him wrestling was fake, he'd try to fight you. Like he didn't want to let go of that aspect. Like he knew it wasn't, but he didn't want to talk about it kind of thing. Anyway. A fun guy. But anyhow, Goldberg became a real big thing. So I got obsessed with him when he was wrestling, and then he wound up losing the belt over some, bullshit thing. But, it's all what it is. But anyway, after he lost the belt, I quit watching it and never got back into it.
All right.
But wrestling's fun. Cool. I keep thinking about letting my kid watch it because I know he'd love it, but then I'd get into watching it too, and it's too much. We got other things to do.
Right. All right, next message from Stephen Orm, Ocean Master. It says, hey, Andy, Jamie, Brendan, I love the show. I'm a longtime listener. I've got 2 questions. Number 1, would you or can you see a Red Hood-style origin for the Joker in Matt Reeves' The Batman without any sort of advertising that we only get to see when the movie is released? Much like, I'm sorry, I'm kind of confused.
I don't get this quite.
Oh, it says, much like The Dark Knight, I really enjoyed the surprise of having Harvey Dent Two-Face origin in there so they could pull it out of the bag and do the comics justice. I think it's time we revisit the acid bath for Joker. So I guess what he's saying is like, oh, okay, I get what he's saying. Sorry, it was a little confusing. So saying that at some point in the Batman, they never show it or advertise it, but the Red Hood, the original Red Hood, not Jason Todd, the Red Hood is somehow a part of it and ends up in the acid, which will then set up the Joker for the next film.
Do I think that's going to happen? Is that what the question is?
Do you think, or would you, or can you see it happen?
No, I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. Is like sort of this like unexpected thing that happens in the course of the movie that you're like, oh God, like, and those of us who know what they're doing. Okay, I get it. That's cool.
I'll take it a step further. What if that's the cold open to the movie?
I'd be down with that. And then it says, do you think we'll get a Robin or Dick Grayson cameo of some sort? Keep up the awesome content. Your mate from Dublin, Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. What do you think, Robin or a Dick Grayson cameo?
I don't know. Like, I feel like since there's been no murmurings of him being in the film or anything, I don't know that it would happen. If it does, pleasant surprise. But I almost feel like, at the end, Bruce telling Alfred that he was going with Vicky to the circus or something and seeing a flyer for the Flying Graysons on the table as he's talking about that at the end of the first movie. I can see something like that happen, like some sort of a reference, but I don't necessarily see a Robin showing up even pre-Robin in this film, if that makes sense.
Right. I mean, I said that so far Matt Reeves is doing everything that I would like him to do, and the only thing missing is Robin. So that means it'll never happen. They'll never have a Robin in any of these movies. But I agree with you, Jamie. Do I think we'll see him? No. Do I think there will be some sort of sly nod or setup? I do. Whatever that is, we'll see. Next message is from Sam Lund. It says, hey, I've been a listener for a little bit. I love the show and everything you talk about. Any Bat news is worthy Bat news. I was listening to the question about a Joker sequel. I was wondering, what do you think about a trilogy of origin stories that all have the same ending in the hospital or something like that? Also, do you think that would be possible or end up flopping because of them being too similar? I think if there would be a Joker or a trilogy of Joker films, it would have to be something that doesn't make sense. Thanks, Sam Lund. Oh, so I think he's asking like 3 different Joker films, but they all end in the same place. So it would be like 3 alternate takes on the Joker, maybe?
I couldn't quite tell if that's where he wanted to go with it, or if he wanted 3 different villain origins, all of which end up with them in Arkham at the end.
That was what I thought, but then at the end when he said, "Oh, well, it'd be too confusing having 3 Jokers," I was like, "Oh, maybe he meant 3, like Joker, Joker 2, Joker 3. They're all different origin stories, and they all sort of end in the same place." I think it's super interesting. I don't think it would ever happen, but it's I think it would be fascinating.
The concept of 3 Jokers is so confusing that Jeff Johnson's been trying to write that story for like 5 years and still hasn't got it done. So,
That's a good point. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a cool idea, but no, I don't think it would happen. I think that would be a better comic book story because I think the readers would be a little more hip to what they're doing. I think for movies, it would be a little too confusing.
Yeah, it would be fun.
Next best,
I think that. Well, I mean, I don't know if fun's the right word to use for Joker, and you get my point.
Yeah. All right, next is for Stuart from Guernsey. It says, "Hey, Andy, Brendan, and Jamie." Sorry, Jamie. It says, "By the looks of things, we're getting the Snyder Cut. If the response is overly positive, what do you think it could mean? Do you think there would be any way of Snyder returning? Or do you think they'll be happy with the positive reaction and move on? Surely if the response is more than they were expecting, Snyder could come back. Here's hoping that the Snyder Cut is closer than people were imagining. I hope you're doing great, Stuart." Thanks, Stuart. Well, we sort of mentioned this, but Jamie, thoughts?
I don't want to sound overly negative here. I'll use one of my clever old man analogies. Portillo's just opened yesterday, right down the street from me. It opened a week early. I had it for dinner last night. I had it for breakfast this morning. I freaking love that place. And my favorite thing to get at Portillo's is the big beef sandwich dipped in the gravy with all the beef and the hot peppers on it. Magnificent. Had one last night, had one this morning. Just incredible. There's as much chance of Zack Snyder returning to direct a DC movie, especially one in the continuity that they're working on now, that there would be of me ordering a mushroom sandwich the next time I go to Portillo's instead of that beef.
Well, there you have it. There you go. I mean, yes. I mean, I stand by what I said earlier. Is like, will we see the movie? I think so, one way or the other. Do I think that they're going to bring him back, let him finish it? Nope, I do not. I think that ship has sailed. But now I want Portillo's, Jamie. Thanks a lot.
Come on over. You're going to be just down the street from me here in a few days. So.
All right. So we got another message from Mario. That's how long it's been since the last episode. It says, "I want your thoughts. I'm hoping for a Batman shared universe. I think Matt Reeves' films could be on Earth 2, and Earth 1 would be the DCEU. And I would love it if the Batman sprinkles in the seeds for Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, etc. And then there are spin-offs of Batgirl, Nightwing before Batman 2. In Batman 2, there could be a Jason Todd death, and then there could be a Red Hood spin-off, something along those lines, and then all 5 could then culminate in a Justice League or Avengers-style Bat Family team-up against a bunch of villains. Thoughts? There are so many Batman villains and allies, it could definitely be its own cinematic universe. Take care, Mario." I mean, yeah, I think that's what we would all like to see.
I certainly wouldn't oppose any of it.
Is like, yeah, like there's you're right. Batman's world is so huge, and there's so many great characters that they wouldn't all get their due in just a Batman trilogy. So I think you would want to branch off and do more, and then bring them back together. So no, I completely agree. I was waiting for that Nightwing movie. Now I got Nightwing on Titans. It's going to have to do, but give him his own movie. Let's bring him in. So no, I agree. And then who knows if Batgirl's still alive? I don't know. Like the movie, I mean, like, is it still in development? Is there still something happening there? We'll see. This message from Whistle Red, it says, "Greetings, Bat Family. What look would Christopher Walken have if he had played Brainiac in Superman Lives?" What do you think, Jamie? Christopher Walken as Brainiac.
I mean, you could go with the more traditional looking Brainiac, the green with the little dots connected on his head. Personally, I see him decked out in some weird David Bowie-esque makeup and costume. I don't know why. My head just goes right to that.
Well, there's concept art of what Tim Burton wanted Brainiac to be, and it was essentially, yes, the green ball with the almost not electrodes, almost like electrodes all over his head, like you said. So it would probably be that. You know, if you think about what Tim Burton did with Christopher Walken in like Sleepy Hollow, he wasn't afraid to alter his appearance and make him look crazy. So I think he'd probably do the same thing. He probably would have been bald and green and looked like Brainiac.
The fun fact,
I think that
in Sleepy Hollow, that's actually, they do makeup on him to make him look like what he normally does. In Sleepy Hollow, that was him without makeup.
Oh, that's amazing. Those are some badass teeth.
Indeed.
And he just says, ah. But I think that I want to say in the artwork I've seen, Brainiac was just a head. Like it was just the green head. So
that sounds Burton.
Anyway. Yeah. All right, next message is from Reverend Frazier. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family, would you like to see a comic book about Max Schreck from Batman Returns? And speaking of Max Schreck, did you know that the actor who played Chip Schreck was Andrew Brianarski, who played Zangief in the Street Fighter movie?" Reverend, yes, I knew that Andrew Brianarski played Zangief. He also played Jason in Friday the 13th. No, Leatherface. Damn it, Leatherface. I screwed it up. He played Leatherface in the remake of Texas Chainsaw. Because he's a huge, huge man.
Wait.
What do you think, Jamie?
Max Schreck's kid is the one that played Leatherface in the remake?
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
I had no idea.
And the prequel to it. Like those two new ones, I think he was Leatherface in both of them.
I don't acknowledge the anyway. And I've never seen
those
the Street
good,
Fighter movie,
dude.
so I didn't know about
those are good.
No, I like the remake. I just didn't like anything else that went along with the remake.
All right. A Max Schreck comic, yes, more Max Schreck always.
I don't need it, but I'd read it.
I'm still waiting for someone to bring him into comic book continuity. Next message is from Tom Fallows. It says, "Hey, Andy and Jamie and the Aussie Mistress." With Superman being off the table for the foreseeable future, but Henry Cavill remaining enthusiastic about the role, what do you think could change WB's mind about Superman? What do you think has put them off of Superman? Anyway, I hope you have a great show. Tom Fallows from Liverpool. Thanks, Tom. What do you think, Jamie? What could get them to get back in the Superman business, and what got them out of it?
Quite simply, what'll get them back in? J.J. Abrams saying, "I want to do a Superman movie."
I think that's accurate. Or someone, it doesn't even have to be JJ. I mean, JJ could do it, but someone of that caliber that really wants to make a Superman movie, I think they would then.
J.J. Abrams, George Miller, anybody with that kind of clout at WB saying, "I want to do a Superman movie," gets a Superman movie greenlit instantly. Script or no script. What put them off of it? Backlash from BVS and Justice League. And maybe even going back to Man of Steel for that matter.
Yeah. All three of them. I agree.
Because the things that we all may love, not everybody did. Shameful as that may be.
Yeah. All right, next message from Weston Craig. It says, "Hey guys, on the last episode you talked about Batman board games. I should let everyone know listening about the DC deck building game. For anyone listening, if you like DC and card games, you should play it. It plays similar to other deck building games like Dominion and Star Realms. I actually like it better than any deck building games I've played. There are 5 original base set games themed off Justice League, Second String Justice League, the Teen Titans, Rebirth Justice League, and the Legion of Doom. There are at least 11 expansions I know of. This kind of thing might not be for Andy, Jamie, and Brendan, but check this game out if games in DC are your thing. I play it once or twice a week." Weston. Thanks, Weston. You kind of lost me a bit, but I used to play Magic the Gathering. Is it like that?
I think that, like Pokemon and that sort of thing, like my son's big into Pokemon, so he does a lot of that kind of stuff with his friends. It's beyond my capacity, but it sounds like Magic and Pokemon and that sort of thing to me.
Yeah.
Did I hear you
loved
guys in the
Magic
last
back in
episode
the day.
talking about Almost Got Him?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember which one of you said it. I think it was you. You opened up the box and you read the directions and you're like, oh, goodness, no. That's exactly what happened to me. I got like 2 paragraphs into the directions. I boxed it up and I set it on the shelf. It's never been off since.
Yep. I used those cards because they were so cool to play solitaire.
Magnificent.
Because I was like, I paid for these cards. I'm using them for something. And the Almost Got 'Em game, it ain't going to happen.
I don't think my cards were even out of the wrapper. I think I just literally opened the box, read the directions, and was like, nope.
Yeah, they're really cool. You essentially got an expensive Batman the Animated Series deck of playing cards.
There's also another one that's like a dice game that comes with a little can. I haven't even opened that one yet either. I don't remember what that one's called.
All right.
It's not Almost Got Him. It's some other Batman game. But anyway.
Yeah. Even if I was able to understand the Almost Got 'Em rules, I couldn't imagine trying to rope in other people to play it with me. All right, next message is from Ulysses George. It says, hey guys, hope you're having a fantastic week. Happy holidays. What if DC Entertainment decided to do a 4th season of Batman Beyond and a continuation of the story like they did for Young Justice? Have you been reading any DC books or Black Label or Daredevil? Finally, every time that Matt Reeves puts up a tweet on a new casting and the comments are release the Snyder Cut. I get it that Snyder fans want it and I'm curious about it, but come on, putting that hashtag on the director, that's not right. He's making his own Batman movie and WB let him make his movie because they like his vision. Sorry about that I had to get that off my chest. Thanks, guys, and read lots and lots of Batman comics. Thanks, Ulysses. Appreciate that. So, okay, if they were to pick up and do more Batman Beyond in animation, I think that would be really cool.
I'm not asking for it, but for the fans of the show, yeah, by God, I hope they do.
Yeah. For everyone out there who like loves Batman Beyond more than we do, like, no, that would be awesome.
Or even Batman the Animated Series. I mean, with any of these things, like there's a big push right now. I saw online right after Disney Plus came out for Gargoyles. I've never seen a frame of that show, but I've never heard a bad word said about it either. Let me tell you what my Disney Plus obsession is right now. Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That is a Hall of Fame animated series. And I hope to God that thing gets enough of a following from being on there that it gets the Young Justice treatment and gets some more seasons thrown in, because damn, that show is awesome. Sorry. And anyway, Wolverine and the X-Men, same thing. You know, I mean, I'm revisiting all these animated shows on Disney Plus that I've always liked. So yeah, I hope they all get this treatment in this streaming world.
I agree. But I will agree about Gargoyles. It's amazing. And
watch that.
Yeah, watch it. So yeah, I think that would be super cool to do more Batman Beyond. I'm not reading anything right now. So
I just read Batman number 83 this morning, and I got to tell you, it's one of my favorite Batman issues I've read in a long time, because I know Tom King's only got 2 damn issues left before he's off that book.
Okay. And then
what happened, right? I told you what happened. What he did that altered Batman forever.
Oh yeah.
This issue
about that.
Here it is. 3 months and 6 issues later, Batman is just now acknowledging that happened. Yeah. Still looking forward to that Phantasm being introduced in that maxi series King's doing, but I'll be so damn glad when he's gone out of that book. Oh. 1 more month. That's all I gotta wait. 1 more month.
Sweet. And then your final point, earlier on we talked about release the Snyder Cut and how I said on the 17th I felt like that was the right way to go about it, and I was happy about that and I supported that. The example you gave is the opposite. That is exactly the sort of behavior that I can't condone, and it kind of makes me embarrassed to be a DC fan, is when people will spam Matt Reeves or the WB Twitter when they post something about Pee-wee's Big Adventure and people like spam it with release the Snyder Cut. It's just disrespectful. I don't think it's cool. And that's the sort of stuff that makes me go, ugh, I don't know if I want to be associated with that. So
get me a rubber stamp that says everything that he just said, and just there's my response.
Yeah. All right, next message from Pastor Jasmine. It says, hey, Andy, Jamie, and Brendan, happy Thanksgiving.
Do we appeal to a lot of clergy and I wasn't aware of it, or what? Because we had a
Yeah, I
reverend a
know.
minute ago, now we got a pastor.
I guess the holidays are coming. It's their busy season. It says, with the holidays coming, I've got this question. Is there one movie you would... Wait. If there is one movie you would watch first, which one would it be? Batman or Robin or the Star Wars Holiday Special?
Star Wars Holiday Special.
What?
Without hesitation. Without hesitation.
Oh, Batman and Robin, dude. No, Batman and Robin.
B. Arthur. Enough said.
Oh, you make a compelling argument.
Plus the first
If I could
appearance
watch
of
the
Boba
Star
Fett,
Wars
it's
Holiday
okay.
Special with riff tracks, then I would maybe choose that.
Listen, there's the next. That's the hashtag I would get behind is release the holiday special on Disney Plus. It's high time that happened.
True. Okay, next message is from Horace Mc... Oh, sorry. This is neither here nor there, but how great is it that the Star Wars Holiday Special became canon thanks to The Mandalorian?
Oh yes, amazing.
That was wonderful. Okay, sorry. Next
And I
message
think
is
it
from
always was
Horace
canon. They just didn't really want to acknowledge that it ever happened. It aired one
guess.
time, and literally the only time. If you didn't see it that one time it aired, which I did, I saw it live, saw it. Yep. The only possible way you could ever see it after that is bootleg copies, ever.
Yep. Well, then where is my B. Arthur action figure?
That's a valid.
I ask you.
You have to find a.
They've made
customizer.
action figures of everyone else. You know, I have a B. Arthur Golden Girls action figure. Thanks, Mom. My mom bought it for me. Maybe I can customize it and make it B. Arthur from the Cantina.
Does she have that really sarcastic eye roll look on her face that she gives to?
She always does. That's just her face.
Is that RSF then, or resting sarcasm face?
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Back. This is a message from Horace McNichol. It says, "Hey, Holy BatCast family, how different would Batman and Robin have been if Hulk Hogan had played Mr. Freeze? And were you a Hulk Hogan fan?" What's with the wrestling questions?
At least our fans are consistent. They all just randomly pull things out of the air, and all at once here it comes.
I think there's something going on behind the scenes where they're messaging each other and going, okay, this week we're going to ask about wrestling. This week we're going to ask about Inspector Gadget. What do you think? Hulk Hogan is Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin.
It would have been a different movie. It wouldn't have made it any less cheesy. In fact, it might have made it more so, but it would have been different.
I mean, we feel like Batman and Robin couldn't get any worse, and this question makes me think maybe it could have been. I like Hulk Hogan. He seems like a good dude, but he ain't an actor, like. But I back in the 80s, I liked him as much as someone with passing knowledge of him. I liked him because there was a cartoon. Like that was really all I knew of him. Again, I didn't watch wrestling even as a kid, but I there was the cartoon of Hulk Hogan's Rock and Roll Wrestling, so I kind of liked him because of that.
That show was so awesome. They had ice cream bars of it.
Yeah.
Remember that?
It was a thing. Yep.
I remember being introduced to Hulk Hogan in Rocky III because he played Thunder Lips.
Oh, that's right. Which I've never seen Rocky III.
What? So that's not your favorite Rocky film? Because I'm sure somebody has asked or will.
My favorite Rocky film is Rocky IV because it's the only one I really know.
I think the best Rocky film is 2. My favorite one is 4.
Yeah, it's the only one I've really ever sat down to watch. So anyway, next message or last message. Woo, we did it, Jamie. This is from Jason Ritter. It says, "Hey Brendan, question mark and Andy Claus." I guess you're question mark, Jamie.
Okay.
And I'm Andy Claus. Ho, ho, ho. It says, "I was wondering, are you going to do an episode for Wonder Woman Bloodlines? And will we maybe get a Batman Returns commentary for the holidays? I hope you get eggnog for the holiday and keep up the bat work, Jason Ritter." Thanks, Jason. Yes, Jason loves the holidays, like us. Wonder Woman Bloodlines, I still need to watch it.
Is it even on DCU yet?
No, but I bought it. I was going to watch it on my travels and never got around to it. But yes, we will do it. I also just watched Teen Titans Go versus Teen Titans. So I want to review that as well on the show.
I hear good things.
I thoroughly enjoyed myself. I'll just say that. And a Batman Returns commentary, yes, that's a great idea. I don't know if it'll happen for this year, but it is something that we should put in the hopper for when the time is right.
In my best Val Kilmer, Doc Holliday voice, say when. I'm all for it.
Cool.
And speaking of eggnog, you know what I haven't found yet this year and I'm utterly heartbroken about because I've looked every time I've gone to the grocery store?
What?
Pumpkin eggnog.
Oh.
Can't find it anywhere this year. It was everywhere last year. Can't find it nowhere this year.
That's weird.
There's like 17 varieties of Southern Comfort eggnog. I can't find one pumpkin eggnog anywhere.
Sad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, me too.
So we have reached, we're almost at Thanksgiving.
My
means
Thanksgiving actually starts my first of 3 in 2 hours and 7 minutes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I start transitioning off of pumpkin spice and into peppermint. And so far, our Chinese Starbucks does not have peppermint. So when I was in LA last week, between trips to Taco Bell, I was drinking lots of peppermint from Starbucks. So if you were to kill me, I would bleed half peppermint coffee and half nacho cheese.
You know what's back at Taco Bell that I really like since we're on the subject? Those friggin' rolled chicken tacos. I don't know what the shit they put in
those are good.
They're amazing.
Those are good. I agree. I'm back at the States next week for Thanksgiving, so I'm going to get me some Taco Bell, I'm going to get me some peppermint, and I'm going to eat so much turkey, and it's going to be obscene. But anyway, that's it. That's it for the Wayne Manor Mailbox. Thank you for hanging in there and getting through it with us. We certainly appreciate it. If you've got a message for the Wayne Manor Mailbox, you can send that to Holy BatCast at rf4rm.com. But that's where we're going to wrap up this episode. Jamie, good to have you back. Thank God Brendan went on holiday so you could jump back in.
Yeah, I'd say it was awesome to be back, but now I'm just bitter against Brendan because he's over there eating that coconut syrup and being in Hawaiian weather, and I'm here looking at frost.
Well, he told me he's always wanted a white Christmas, so maybe he's jealous of you.
Well, maybe, I guess. See, everybody talks about how they want a white Christmas, but nobody ever says how much they love shoveling snow. That's the bullshit. White Christmas, that's great.
Absolutely accurate.
Snow for one day, I can live with that. But all the other days, no, forget it.
That's totally fair. Well, before you run off to eat your first of 3 turkey dinners, you overachiever, tell the folks at home where they can follow you.
Twitter, BatRaider3960.
Cool. Anyway, there you go. Give Jamie a follow, and I already told you where to follow the show. But thank you, as always, for joining us. I'm glad we did get this in. Again, I don't know how quickly we'll get you another episode because I'm getting on another plane in 36 hours. So please hang in there with me. I do it as often as I can, as soon as time allows. And that goes not just for this show, but also for Disorder and for Why Not Futurama and for Real Fans for Real Movies, which we put out a Thanksgiving episode, Jamie.
I saw that.
That was fun. So I think I said it on the last Holy BatCast, but before I went on this past trip, I did like 6 podcasts in 2 days. So I would have stuff to release.
You are.
I'm committed. Or I should be committed. I think that's more accurate.
And Andy and I have discussed the next thing that we would like to do on Real Fans. It's just a matter of making schedules calm down for that for a minute too. So.
Yeah. So, and we're coming up to the end of the year, which starts meaning end of year lists.
Oh yeah, we got to get on that too. Which means I should start watching some movies because I'm pretty sure I've only seen like 15 of them this year.
Is what it is. Anyway, so yeah, I will get you another Holy BatCast as soon as possible. But hey, I'm leaving the country again, which can only mean more news, which is super exciting. We'll have things to talk about. But until then, please give us a little follow. Follow us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Search for Holy BatCast. Please do subscribe to this show so you never miss an episode. Please rate and review us on iTunes. And most importantly, as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com. And if you have any thoughts, opinions, questions for the Wayne Manor Mailbox, you can send those to holybatcast at rf4rm.com. Again, we are on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast. And another big thank you to Carly for becoming a patron this week. Very much appreciated. But that'll do it for this episode. On behalf of Jamie, I've been Andy. We'll see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
What's this little toy do?
Careful. It's an exosuit. It amplifies effort and increases endurance.
And?
When I tested it, it put too much strain on my heart.
You'd let a little thing like a heart problem stop you from being Batman? I don't believe it.
Would I lie to you?
No.
I love Dick. I love Dick.